Breaking news. Breaking news. Arthur Smith, I have a report right in front of your face right now. This coming from Bleacher Report. Arthur Smith and the Falcons are likely heading towards a breakup. That news just came in a little while ago. We're talking Breece Hall, 178 yards and a touchdown in Week 18. Is he the number one overall running back in 2024 fantasy football? Laporta update, AJB update, NFL playoff bracket breakdown. Here is your playoff picture. It's already locked in. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The Fantasy Football Show playoff edition, playoff prediction edition, AJB Laporta injury update edition, Breece Hall edition, Arthur Smith to be fired, breaking news. It all begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So let's start off with the Arthur Smith news real quickly. This news came from Bleacher Report just not too long ago. Bleacher Report, again, not totally official, but reporting that Arthur Smith and the Falcons are headed toward a likely breakup. We're waiting on confirmation. We need to know this is concrete and done and in the books before we start celebrating. But according to this report here, we have on good authority that Arthur Smith will be out in 2024 Bijan season. Where are we going to rank him? I don't know. We'll get to that another day, but I just wanted to break this down. We'll go over maybe Bijan rankings if he does, in fact, get canned, which this report is indicating. Breaking news, Bijan season next year. It sucks because of what Bijan did in this contest, but and what he's capable of doing. Let's give Bijan a standing O. Let's give the firing of Arthur Smith a standing O. Okay, so that's that. Okay, let me first pull up Bijan's game today. Like 11 carries. They were down on the goal line, and they literally They tried to punch it in using Cordero Patterson, a whole slew of other running backs. Why not give it to your stud? Why not give it to the guy you drafted inside the top 10? No. Instead, Arthur Smith decides to continue to misuse Bijan. He punts this game away, and then he has a temper tantrum like a little baby on the field, goes after the other head coach saying, are you going to run the score up on me and make me look bad in front of my daddy? And so now, couple that temper tantrum on the field. Total temper tantrum, total meltdown. Total meltdown. Couple that with his poor performance, missing the playoffs, misusing Bijan. This report, according to Bleacher Report, I think is going to be 100% true. There is a breakup happening, and just get ready for that. But this man, Bijan, 103 yards and a touchdown receiving. 8 targets, caught 7 of them. Almost had a touchdown reception, a second one that freaking Ritter missed 3, threw it behind him. And Bijan would have had a second touchdown. Bijan would have had a third touchdown. That's the crazy part when you think about it. Bijan should have had 3 touchdowns in this game and probably 150 total yards. I think everybody's going to be a little careful walking in, as they should, into 2024. But this is one of those things where I know I was right. If this had played out the way that I would have used Bijan, I know I would have been right. And it sucks because I was wrong. I pushed Bijan more than anybody. I'll take a big fat L. And I know a lot of you are going to say, Smitty, I'm going to take the L with you. I don't need you to. I'll wear this L on my chest, this scarlet L. It's on me. But I know I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong, because in this game alone, this man would have run 20 times instead of 11. He would have had at least 70, 80 yards on the ground with some tough yards per carry in the first 11 carries, sure. He would have had that rushing touchdown on the goal line. He would have caught that touchdown pass that was thrown his way and had his additional third. He would have 3 touchdowns and about 150, 160 total yards in one game. I know I'm not wrong. I don't care how it all plays out. I'll go to my grave knowing I would have been right. if I deployed this man the way he should have been. But it is what it is. I'll take the L. This is a big miss on my part this year, thinking Bijan would be used properly all year. But we had a lot of winners. We had a lot of things that smashed. This man, Breece Hall, 178 yards and a touchdown, looking like a phenom. Breece Hall is 8 freaking feet tall.
Breece Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Breece. He's Breece.
He does a hull of a job. A hull of a job. A hull of a job.
Breece Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a
Get breached.
Devon Achan, please report to your shuttle to Saturn. Your shuttle is leaving. Prepare for departure. Touchdown probability high.
Touchdown probability is always high with this man, Breece Hall, and Devon Achan. We had a lot of winners. We had some misses. I'm not running from my Bijan Robinson predictions and everything. Like I said, I wear that on my chest. I wear that on my sleeve. I wear that on my hat. I wear that all over. I wear it on my forehead. It is an L. But boy, did we smash across the board on so many of these other players. And this guy right here, a Saturn man. The first Saturn man I give you for 2024. If anybody's been late to come onto the stream saying, Smitty, I've been taking a week off or whatever, we've already announced 2 Saturn men. One of them is this man right here, and the other one's Kyren Williams. You'll see both of them right here on the docket, on the shuttle passenger list right here.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
And then in surprise fashion, we added another Saturn man. If you've been absent from the show, JD5.
Spaceman.
Jaden Daniels 5, which that one's pissing off a lot of people. The first 2, they're first rounders. Like, I understand someone's going to say that's not real bold, but you've got to decide in the first round who you're going to bank on and who you're not. And so it's fitting to have Saturn men be the men that you count on. And there are going to be a fork in the road type of decision making going on in your draft where you do have to decide, are you going with this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy? And we're telling you that Breece Hall is arguably running back 1 in 2024. I'm telling you that Kyren Williams is arguably running back 1 in 2024. I'm also going to tell you that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be there, but that's neither here nor there. That's another day. For anybody late to the party, Breece Hall at 178 yards and a touchdown, looking like the Saturn man that he is. Bijan Robinson had 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. Should have had another 2 touchdowns, but Arthur Smith botched that, then threw a temper tantrum on the field, which I think only sealed the deal to get him out as head coach in Atlanta for 2024. Go work at a FedEx where your poppy can get you a job in invoicing, Arthur, because you're not welcome in the NFL, pal. In fact, take a lap, Arthur Smith. Take a big fat lap. And by the way, we've got perps coming in, I think, in the building. You know what's funny is I just assume it's perps that drop these gifted memberships. I don't even actually know. Yeah, it's perps. It's perps, $50 haul, $50 gifted memberships from perps dropping that wad. Perps also dropped to 20. We also got a few other super chats. File on in, keep it coming because we're not done yet. We're just getting started. And we also have the playoff bracket right in front of your face. What show has all this prepared? The answer is no show. If you're going to a different show to watch your content, I'm going to watch this little show so that I could get this piece of information, this little show. We do it all. And right in front of your face is a playoff bracket, the sealed up, locked and loaded playoff bracket where the Baltimore Ravens are awaiting the lowest scoring team or the lowest seeded team upon victory. The San Francisco 49ers are awaiting the lowest lowest finishing, or the worst team out of the winners and losers here. And we will be talking and breaking down this bracket on this show tonight, and I'll give you my Super Bowl prediction on the show tonight, and we'll keep track of it as it comes. AJB, let's get to this news. AJ Brown escaped what appears to be This appears to be an injury that's not going to be as bad as they think, but what's that mean? Sirianni, when asked about wide receiver A.J. Brown's knee, and it looked like A.J. Brown tore his ACL, because when you fall to the ground and you grab the back of your knee, that's where you feel the ACL pain. Here's your knee, bends like this. When you tear your ACL, even though the ACL is in the middle of the knee, the PCL and ACL are right in the middle, you feel that pain. The quickest way to get to it, if you tear it, in terms of like trying to put your hand there where the pain is on the back. It's a natural feeling to not have to go through the kneecap and the patellar tendon and everything that's in the front. There's a lot of stuff here. So if you're trying to get your hand to the pain, because you naturally want to do that when you injure something, you put your hand right where the pain is. A human being, and I've tore my ACL myself, and I've reported on this 100,000 times. If you have a torn ACL, you immediately go to the back of your knee and hold that back, almost the side of the knee. That's what he did. My guess is that he probably either tore some meniscus, LCL. There's a couple different reports out. They're going to find out more, but according to Sirianni, he said that my understanding is it's not believed to be a serious injury. We'll find out. Bottom line is we don't freaking know much yet. We'll find out more tomorrow. What is going on here? I've got my different computer assistants, my AI helpers that just they get into stuff. They don't know what they're doing. I got Ziggy over here. I even put Ziggy on camera. Ziggy, is AJ Brown injured?
AJ Brown is currently listed as questionable with a knee injury.
Yeah, he doesn't provide much help, but we'll keep AJ Brown. We'll keep Ziggy, my co-host, camera feed up so that we can go to him from time to time. So we'll give you more information on Ziggy. Shut up. Thank you. Yeah, actually, did I mean the backyard? Ziggy, show me the backyard. Somebody in the backyard? Ziggy, show me the backyard.
Okay.
What's his problem? You work for me. I work for them. You work for me. Therefore, you work for them. There's the backyard. Everything looks good. Thanks, Ziggy. Ziggy off. Where were we at? AJ Brown. We'll find out more tomorrow. Doesn't look serious, but I don't know. I can't. I got to think something's going on. You don't fall and hold your knee like that when it's just a minor injury. Laporta escaped an ACL tear. It looked really bad as well. Him and AJ Brown both look like they tore their ACL, but this one appears to be a hyperextended knee, bone bruise, and he's expected to miss time, like it says down here, likely to miss some time. When you have a hyperextended knee, your fear is that you're going to tear the ACL. You got the ACL and PCL in the back. You also have the LCL and the MCL, okay? So you definitely have some ability to tear all kinds of ligaments whenever the knee's moving around or doing anything that's out of the ordinary. With a normal bend right here, that's how you bend the knee. Hyperextension is when it goes like that. And as you can see, you're going to pinch this meniscus a lot of the time whenever your knee hyperextends. You're pinching it, and then they need to cut it off. So we got to find out. This could be something when they go in, they find out, or they do some more testing tomorrow and the next day. They'll go in and find that there's some damage to this meniscus. We don't know that he's in the clear of that yet. But when you do this, you can see you eventually go so far over the meniscus when your knee hyperextends. Again, here's the normal bending of the knee. You sit down on a chair like this. When you go like this, see how far over this knee joint has to go in order for the bone to hit bone on bone? So when you have a bone bruise, you literally jam this part of the bone into this part of the bone. And these two pieces of bone right here collide and create a very deep bone bruise. And the stability of the knees in question, you can't rush back from it. It's not a pain tolerance type of thing at all. I mean, it obviously is. It's very painful, but it's not like you can play on it. So my guess is he's out a minimum of two games, at least one game. We'll see what happens. Maybe the bone bruise is minor. There's severity levels, like I always say, so we don't fully know. But I'd say it would be very, very impressive for him to come back for his team's second game in the playoffs. But it's very, very tough when you have this bone bruise because the integrity of the knee is in question until that goes away. There's also a lot of other concerns with it. So more to come on Laporta, but Laporta and AJB for 2024, which is, I think, let's be honest, what our bigger concern is 2024. I know a lot of us are excited about the playoffs. I sure am. I love playoff time. And I got a big grin on my face because fantasy's over. And while we had a lot of W's and a lot of us won a lot of championships and we had an amazing year. All in all, this is one of the best years I think we've ever had on the YouTube channel. Seriously, it's been probably the best year. Despite even some L's. So you're going to have L's every year. I'm still so excited about the fact that 2024 is here. It's all 2024. It's all speculative. It's all predicting this, predicting that. NFL draft. This order we're gonna update. It's not fully updated. I haven't even touched it actually today. We're gonna go through all the NFL draft stuff. We're gonna go through all the playoff bracket stuff. It's just such a fun time. The rookie prospect rankings. Adding JD5 to the freaking Saturn men.
The Saturn men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
I mean, all this stuff is fantastic. I get so excited about the NFL playoffs, the 2024 upcoming season or the upcoming season, whenever a season ends. I just get riled up. And while other channels crank it down, we crank it up. And we're here to drop more content than ever before. There's no slowing down at all. There's no, hey, we'll be back. Hey, my rankings come out in June. That's Mickey Mouse stuff. This is the full Monty. This is the real deal. This is the full send. Do it live. Okay? That's what we do here. We don't do anything less than the best. Okay? And let's break down the rest of the news. There's a lot to go over. And then we'll open up the phone lines in a little bit. So let's see if we can get through some of this news. Let me see. Jordan Love, Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs came out and had a touchdown. Looked good early on in the game. Wasn't fully used properly. Some people are going to look at this performance and I think try and extrapolate it into like what could be in store for him in terms of limitations and workload usage in 2024. But that's okay because we love the fact that he could be a little undervalued, at least below Breece Hall, below some of those guys that I think are going to consume the first round value. I think a lot of people will have him at the tail end of the first round or at 8, 9, 10 overall. But Jahmyr Gibbs, how he's used in the next couple of games, or let's say the Detroit Lions don't win their playoff matchup, the next game will also determine a lot in telling everybody how this workload divide is going to look in 2024 and how much they trust Jahmyr Gibbs. This was week 18. There's a lot of weird things going on in this week. There was injuries to Laporta. I'm sure they dialed back Gibbs a little bit when they saw Laporta go down, and they said, let's go ahead and make sure we don't injure our star rookie, our playmaker, or probably our first or second best player on the field, because this other guy that goes by the name of Sun God Amon-Ra St. Brown is arguably, you could say, the best player on the field. This guy caught 7 of 10 targets for 144 and an amazing touchdown run after the catch. Unbelievable. Amon-Ra St. Brown to the freaking moon. To Saturn, really. To Saturn. Frankly, he's arguably wide receiver 3, 4, 5 next year. I mean, you could throw him in any one of those spots and I wouldn't bat an eye. Absolutely phenomenal. Tough to know what's going to happen in the playoffs with Gibbs, and that will determine everything. If Gibbs gets 13 carries for 45 yards, has a touchdown even, but that's his usage, I could see him going into 2024 a little bit underrated, which is exactly where we want him.
You've just been smitten.
All right, so Sun God dropping loads all over the place in this one. James Conner, this is an interesting one just because, like, what's going to happen next year in Arizona? This guy always does this at the end of the year. And he does it when you don't really need him to do it. He does it when everybody's going to maybe doubt him. And so we kind of said the last 3 or 4 weeks, you just can't bench him. You just don't know what James Conner is going to do. And what does he do? 27 totes, 150, and a touchdown, and added 54 yards on 4 receptions. Like, James Conner, if you played this measly Week 18, which you shouldn't be doing, and promise me, look at me in the glasses and tell me I'll never play Week 18 again, Smitty. I promise you. I'll go to my commissioner and tell him I'm out. You can't play Week 18. But if you did play Week 18 and you threw this man out there, guess what? You drop loads, because he did absolutely phenomenal. James Conner to the freaking moon in Week 18. Zamir White trying out for his team. He says, hey, let Josh Jacobs walk. And maybe they don't. Maybe Josh Jacobs wants to stay. Maybe everybody wants to play for Pierce, and we'll see what happens. But Zamir White, 25 totes, 112 yards, 1 catch for 9 yards. He is potentially making a case for this team to not draft a rookie running back, or at least not an early one, not bring in a free agent running back, let Josh Jacobs go elsewhere, and he says, let me run this running back room. I am the guy. Put me in a position to dominate. I, Smitty, approve that move if they want to go that direction. Zamir White's definitely been a preseason darling of ours and a fantastic plug-and-play back. Now, this is an interesting case here because we've been worried about this man, and even as of yesterday, I think I said, I don't think he's going to get a starting job next year because he needed a long-term deal, coming off an injury, had the tightrope surgery, and comes in and craps the bed in 2023. Let's be honest. He crapped the bed hard in 2023. But in this game right here, and he's still got a handful potentially, or at least one playoff game, but a handful of playoff games maybe, to prove himself, not only to this team, maybe they want to bring him back, but to his next suitor. And 17 for 70 and a touchdown, ran very hard, 2 receptions for 16 yards. It was a nice effort, and it goes a long way for him to maybe find his way back in the good graces of a scout or two, or the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see what happens with Tony Pollard, but it was nice to see him come to life in this game because he needs it. He's on his last life. There's no doubt about it. Jordan Love, 27 of 32 for 316, 2 touchdowns and a fumble. I even saw some rumbling somewhere where someone's like, Jordan Love, people think he's it, ha ha. Like, what are those people watching? What are Jordan Love haters even watching? He was 27 of 32. He had 316 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's like, and Jaden Reed came out and dropped loads on the field again because that's what he does. He's a load dropper. Look at this man. 4 of 4, 112 yards. Didn't have a touchdown, but that's okay because he should have, he could have, and he will in the future. This is a mini Deebo Samuel, ladies and gentlemen, and I feel like no one's going to be sleeping on him, though, because he's an absolute monster in the making. He's the bona fide number 1 wide receiver in Green Bay. That's not going to change. I think that, for sure, Watson could have sleeper value in the double-digit rounds next year. But guess who's going to be drafted as the number 1 pass catcher in this Green Bay offense walking into 2024 and beyond? You're looking at him. His name's Jaden Reed. Mini Deebo Samuel. And I don't mean mini like he can't be an elite player. I just mean that the usage feels a little lighter than Deebo's workhorse wide back role. But eventually, maybe next year, he gets a full course of that treatment. And then he's not a mini. He's mini because he's not getting as many reps on the ground running the football. But Jaden Reed looked absolutely fantastic. He got no rushing attempts in this game. But 112, a long of 59. He looked fantastic. Jaden Reed to the freaking moon. You might see this man on the Moon Man list.
To the moon.
I don't care. He's a sophomore next year. Sophomore slump this year, Smitty. I don't care. I don't care about last year. Bijan doesn't scare me away from predicting big things from rookies. Having the sophomore wide receiver class kind of have a really rough year in general doesn't worry me. I'm not going to worry about a miss that has nothing to do with this other player. And Jaden Reed send him to the moon.
To the moon.
He looks fantastic. He looks absolutely brilliant walking into next season. Jaden Reed is a man. Jordan Love is a man, and they're coming for everybody in 2024. We'll see what they got in this little playoff outing that they've got upcoming. Green Bay, number 7, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Can't wait to see what's happening. Can't wait. We got more news coming. Hang tight. Here we go. Jahmyr Gibbs, you really love Pollard, Zamir. We got all those guys out of the way. Dak Prescott. We did our quarterback rankings yesterday, like loosely on the board, right? Last night, the night before, we've been kicking around Stroud. Where's Stroud go? Stroud 4? Is he 5? Is he 6? Anybody that says Stroud can't be number 4 or 5 or 6 in 2024, you have no business saying that. You can say he's not mine, but you have no business saying Stroud can't be quarterback 4 or 5 or 6 next year. Absolutely can. Absolutely can. Probably will be. Anybody that says you got to put Herbert above him, you got to put Burrow above him, you got to put any of these guys above him, you don't have to do anything. Guess what you get to do? Whatever you want. Guess what we get to do? Whatever we want.
To the moon.
And Stroud looks phenomenal. But the crazy part is why I'm even talking about this. Arthur Smith, as I said, was on the verge of getting fired. I think maybe he just got fired. Hold on a second. Arthur Smith is fired. Arthur Smith has been fired. He's been fired, ladies and gentlemen. He's been fired. I feel like crying. So bad. I feel like tearing up. Oh my. Where's your mashed potatoes? Yeah, buddy. I've got to send this to myself so I can drag it on screen. Okay. It's happened. It's happened. All of us that have weathered through. I told you at the beginning of this live stream, on good authority, this was happening. Okay. The Falcons used a top 10 pick, an offensive weapon in each year with Arthur Smith selecting tight end Kyle Pitts, number 4. Drake London, number 8. Bijan Robinson, number 8. Atlanta finished 7 and 10. Breaking news: Falcons have fired Arthur Smith, per source. Where's your mashed potatoes? Yeah, buddy. Ziggy, who's the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons? You son of a...
The Atlanta Falcons head coach is Arthur Smith.
Son of a... Ziggy, you're about to be fired.
Oh, man.
Jeez. All right, congrats to everybody that's got Bijan. We'll talk about Bijan and whether he belongs
To Saturn.
here or
To the moon.
here in 2024. There's zero chance Bijan doesn't land here or
To Saturn.
we just got to discuss where he goes. Wow. Guys, can I just say something real quick? We don't realize how good the Falcons can be. We have no clue. We're forgetful that they have, as stated here, number 8 overall pick wide receiver Drake London, number 4 overall pick Kyle Pitts, number 8 overall pick Bijan Robinson. 3 top 8 overall players. Probably the most attractive offense you could go to. Good defense that plays tough and hard. This is one of the most exciting teams in the National Football League. We've just been trained to think that's not true. We've been conditioned to feel like it can't happen. This is a garbage organization. And they still kind of feel that way. But at the same time, I know Arthur Blank wants to figure this out, and he's going to put somebody in place that is going to use Bijan Robinson. If they put someone else in place that misuses Bijan, I won't know what I'm going to do. But we got to decide where we're going to take him in 2024. Is he going to the moon?
To the moon.
Or is he going to go to Saturn? We'll find out. You'll find out. We'll all figure it out together. But absolutely glorious news. Arthur Smith has been fired. It's fantastic. It's the best news. We led the show with it because I was on good authority. It was going to happen right away. I started to talk about Dak Prescott before I put this puppy up here. Dak Prescott, 31 of 36, 279 and 4 touchdowns, 1 INT. He had an absolute freaking day. Dak Prescott to the moon. Looks glorious. Absolutely fantastic. What's next here? We got another piece of news here. This one is from... this one's about Derrick Henry. Can we give Derrick Henry his flowers? I mean, just when you think he's done, because he'll have like 0.6 yards per carry on like 17 straight carries, he goes out and has a monster goodbye party. And I don't know that they're bringing this guy back. 19 totes for 153 and a touchdown. He's obviously going to go somewhere and try and give this a go again. I'm not one to say at this point that Derrick Henry can't do it for at least a string of games, a half a year, 10 games. I know that I won't be banking on him if he's costing a high draft, capital selection. But, I mean, we'll see where he goes and kind of, I think, visit this as it comes. Because right now it's easy to say, he's going to be 30 years old. He's going to be 30 years old. It's not like the olden days where you could do it at 30. But he's been the outlier. He's been the one guy that's actually led the way. So it wouldn't shock me. Thank you, Perps, again for that 50 gifted memberships. I see some $20 haulers there. Ron Navy Perps, appreciate you. I'm coming for you. But let's see where Derrick Henry goes before we cast too much judgment about and where his ADP is going to be. Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua did it. Broke the rookie receiving record for yards, the rookie reception record. And just what a phenomenal day. Puka, 4 of 6 for 41 and a touchdown in this Rams Week 18 win over the 49ers. And just so happy for this guy. He's defied all the odds. He's phenomenal. He's a 12-13 turn pick player, if not higher. Some of you might take him at 8, 9, 10. I can't blame you. That's not wrong. There's no right answer when it comes to trying to slot some of these like 5 to 15 overall players. They're all really close right now. Everybody's going to have a subjective viewpoint on this, but Puka Nacua, phenomenal. Let me change the title of this YouTube video too, because Arthur Smith fired. I'm going to put that at the front because I did put it at the back because I had on good authority he was getting fired tonight. Arthur Smith fired. Plus 2020. There we go. I'm gonna save this. Bills win is okay. There we go. Arthur Smith fired, baby. It's so amazing. Makes me feel so like I wouldn't normally celebrate somebody's downfall, but he comes from his dad owns FedEx. He'll be okay. Okay, I'm not normally I'd be a little bit more like courteous to somebody that nobody. I don't want to celebrate anybody losing a job for their family but this guy, his dad owns FedEx. Okay, he'll be okay. He has millions and millions and millions of dollars. No one feels sorry for Arthur Smith, okay? And he's a pathetic person. He's out there crying on the field like a baby because he got blasted to pieces. Shaved his mustache, and he has shaving regret for shaving off his mustache. He looks like a Pop Warner football coach that got the job because nobody else wanted it, and he didn't know what he was doing. And he's on his way out of that situation, and that's how he's treating it. That's how he's treated this whole season, like he's coaching a Pop Warner team where everybody gets a little bit of work. Okay, we're down at the 2-yard line. Let's not give it to Bijan. Let's share it. Let's give it to Cordero Patterson, who's 87 years old. It's unbelievable what this guy did to this team and how much he destroyed Bijan's fantasy value. And anybody that's just an NFL fan that goes, they don't care about your fantasy, we care. And guess what? The fantasy football and gaming and betting community makes up more of the NFL viewership than anybody realizes. So when a player or a coach says, I don't care about fantasy, I care about winning games, guess what? Guess who pays for your high paycheck? nowadays. The community that comes to watch the games, the community that watches it on TV. I don't ever want to hear another player, and they will, but I don't ever want to hear another player or coach disrespect the gaming, the betting, or the fantasy football communities that pay your bills. You don't know what you have and who's paying your bills when you say something stupid. Like, we don't care about fantasy football. Fantasy football people can go shove it. Well, guess what? You wouldn't get paid a fraction of what you get paid if it weren't for us. Young says he just fought. Yeah, we got it on screen, Young. Appreciate you being here. Late to the party. You're late to the party, Young. All right, here we go. Let's go over to this next piece of news. First of all, let's look at this one. Devon A. Chandler. Oh, no, that's the Buffalo Bills. We'll go to the Buffalo Bills. 359, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs. Josh Allen's got a lot of reckless behaviors that need to be buttoned up to win a Super Bowl. But, man, he's exciting to watch. Reminds me of Brett Favre. Continues to impress in some ways and continues to look very sloppy in other ways. But this Bills team figures out ways to win. They can win every single game one step at a time. And quite frankly, I think Josh Allen's gonna probably surprise some people in the playoffs now that they're in. Clean slate mentality. We might even see a resurgence of Diggs and Josh Allen together, just come together. All it's going to take is one game. This felt like it could have been it. If Josh Allen had hit Diggs on that wide open touchdown strike where he overthrew Diggs by about 4 feet, then Diggs and Allen would have probably repaired their relationship immediately. Sorry, Young. I saw that comment come up. It looked like it was new. I absolutely feel like this is going to be a top 2 team in the AFC when it's all said and done. I think the 2 teams left, it will be it depends on how we bracket this out, quite frankly, but probably will be Buffalo versus Baltimore. Yeah. That's probably what it's going to look like. So Baltimore versus Buffalo, those are the 2 teams I see exiting this AFC bracket, and we'll break it down in a second. I'll tell you what I think on this side of the fence, but obviously who I have facing, who will be determined by who I have winning that first set of games. Josh Allen, James Cook. A lot of people have said I'm too low on James Cook. I never have him high on my rankings. I need to have him higher on my dynasty rankings on the fantasyfootballshow.com. But my answer is always the same, and it'll continue to be. The Buffalo Bills are hard to trust when it comes to running backs in usage and longevity and future usage. And you can tell James Cook isn't cemented into this team's, plans any given game, let alone for the future. And they elevated Leonard Fournette for a reason. They felt like there's been a lot to be desired. He dropped a touchdown pass, James Cook, in this game. There's a lot to be desired for James Cook. So I'm not a huge James Cook believer for the future. And so for that reason, you'll never see me ultra high on him. Kincaid looked like a monster. Kincaid even should have had a few more receptions, but 7 for 84. What do we say about Kincaid? He probably start delivering in the playoffs and start looking like the player he should have been looking like at the tail end of the year, but he kind of hit a late rookie wall. I think one that butted right up against the end of the season, and so we're going to start to see him evolve, and I think he steps up big time. And when Josh Allen was in need, you saw Josh Allen strike Kincaid for a 4, 5, 6, 12-yard reception, and Kincaid's becoming quickly one of his trusted targets. And if Diggs is on the way out, which we all think is a very strong possibility because he's just a disruptor in the locker room, he's a disruptor on the sidelines, he's a disruptor on the field, and he looks like he's toast. He looks like he's done. I think Kincaid becomes one of the most trusted pass catchers, if not the most trusted pass catcher on this team in 2024 and beyond. And Kincaid could be one of the biggest deep sleepers because of his slow finish walking into 2024. And we're going to have a lot of Kincaid talk here on this channel, so buckle up. And I wouldn't be surprised
to the moon
if he ended up on some little list in 2024. Kincaid to the freaking moon. Dawson Knox caught a touchdown. I did think Kincaid caught that when I first saw that 8, and I'm like 86, and it was 88. But that's okay. If he had caught that touchdown and Kincaid had 8 catches for 95 yards and a score, we'd be going ballistic in here. But I'm kind of quietly okay with it. I'm kind of quietly okay with the fact that Kincaid came in kind of subtle, 7 for 84. looking good to us, but maybe people are going to not see it coming. They're going to be a little bit, what's the word? I think caught off guard maybe by what's in store for 2024. So I'm quietly rooting for him in the playoffs. I'm quietly wanting him to do just enough for us, but to know where he's going to stand with this team in 2024. But I don't know. I'm full go. If Kincaid wants to have 5 touchdowns next week, or next contest, I'm ready for it. Devon Achane didn't get as much work as we wanted, and this game script got way out of control for the Miami Dolphins, so that's partly why. But he looked phenomenal when he was ripping off his 10 for 56, 5.6 a pop, his amazing touchdown run that they said on TV, the expected gain prediction from the AI tools and algorithms they were using said that run that Devon Achane had for that was a 20-something yard touchdown scamper was a projected 3-yard run based on all the data and algorithms. It was a 3-yard expected run, and he took that sucker to the house with 4 or 5 jukes. Unbelievable. Devon Achane is going to Saturn. Like I'll spoil it right now. He will be a Saturn man, and if anybody watching doesn't like it, that's tough. You're looking at a top 5 running back in 2024. Why? Because I said so. And also, let me tell you this about Devon Achane. Mostert, who's 32 years old next year, is probably still in the good graces, and should be, of this team. And might I remind you, if Mostert does in fact stay healthy next year, Achane and Mostert can coexist. We know that's possible. Achane did well when Mostert was out, but he also did phenomenal when Mostert was in. When Mostert and Achane played together in the same game, both having explosions, Achane had the highest point total for a running back in all of 2023. He outscored Christian McCaffrey in a single game. He outscored everybody in the National Football League at the running back position in fantasy football points in a single game this year, and he did it with Mostert on the field. So I'm not worried if Mostert does stay healthy, but the great news is if Mostert is on this team next year and he's 32 years old, he's probably not staying healthy. I'm not saying I'm trying to celebrate that, but just that I don't think this team's going to actively look for any other running backs, and Achane will be quietly embedded in one of the most vulnerable situations for opening up carries. Achane to the freaking moon.
Devon Achane, please report to your shuttle to Saturn. Your shuttle is leaving. Prepare for departure. Touchdown probability high.
And every single one of you Achane haters that doesn't want to see him on Saturn, I'm ruining it for you. He will be on Saturn, guaranteed, no matter if you like it or not. So you can come in and sling your Achane hate all over the place. I'll just do another Achane 10,000 times video. And if you don't know what that is, I'll literally say Achane's name 10,000 times in a row, and that video's coming. Achane is going to Saturn, no matter what anybody says.
To Saturn.
So enjoy. We got so many players still to talk about. Everybody blowing up. Look, we touched on this a little bit. Oh, I guess I didn't get to this. Tyreek Hill 7 receptions, 82 yards and a touchdown. Tua had 173, 1 TD, 2 INTs. So Tua was a tough play and a tough sit. And I think there was a few of you that had the dilemma of like Tua versus Geno. I think we had talked about that one. I think Geno outscored him, so that was a safe and good play. Tua had an opportunity to do well in this game, but he was also missing Waddle and Mostert, which made him kind of vulnerable to having a bad game. Breece Hall is freaking 8 feet tall. We went over this. We've been over this all off season.
Get Breece.
Breece Hall, you can make an argument, is the number 1 overall pick in 2024, let alone the number 1 overall running back. 37 totes, 178 and a touchdown, and he even said he will be a top running back, if not the top running back. He will be a Pro Bowler. He will do it for years and years to come. He tweeted it out. Get ready for it. Breece Hall is here to mother freaking stay.
You've just been Smitty approved.
All right, we got so much more news to cover before we get to phone calls and super chats. I'll get through it as quick as I can. Jalen Hurts, 7-16 for 55 yards and an interception. They just pulled him from this game. This isn't really an accurate depiction of what his stats were going to be. But look, the Eagles are falling apart. A.J. Brown got injured. We covered that. Avoided an ACL tear, it looks like, but we don't know the extent of the injury. It was said by Sirianni that he doesn't think it's a big deal. He doesn't think, it's almost like he doesn't know. He's heard through the grapevine that A.J. Brown might not have a serious injury. It's almost as if he's hearing it from 4 or 5 different people, 8 degrees of separation here, instead of getting his hands into the situation and finding out what's going on. I don't see how A.J. Brown's healthy based on how he grabbed that knee, but we'll find out. We'll know more. But all we do know is this man, Jalen Hurts. Let me move this stuff behind here because it's kind of getting in the way, and you can't really read everything with all this stuff sitting there. Let me put all this in the corner here and put Jalen Hurts and give Jalen Hurts the attention and center stage that he deserves. Jalen Hurts got injured in this game. His finger was bent in a crazy fashion. So before people start ripping on him, he's a soldier for going out there and trying to give it a go. His finger literally was mangled and twisted, and it was it looked like, if I put it on the board, it looked like something like this. Here was his finger. It looked like this. It was crazy. And it popped out, and he went back onto the field. They taped it up. And he struggled, and they pulled him out of the game. They said, A.J. Brown got injured. Let's pull him. Let's call this an L, and let's take an L on the chin and walk into the playoffs, okay? We didn't have the seeding we want. This game was important to them. They wanted to fight for a better seed, but they got the 5 seed. It is what it is. They're going up against a Bucs team that might upset them, to be honest, the way the Eagles are playing, but at least it is the best matchup, one of the best matchups they could have probably drew, because the Bucs were struggling. They don't look like they look like the least deserving team, quite honestly, to be in this hunt here. And I know they played well, but I don't know that they're going to be, if the Eagles can fire on even close to all cylinders, I don't think they're beating the Eagles team. I just don't think so. Anything can happen. It's football, but I think this is something where we really have to accept that this might not be the Eagles' year. They're battered. They're beaten. They lost their offensive coordinator, and they haven't had a cohesive unit and play calling and deployment of this offense ever since. It hasn't been jiving. It doesn't look the same. They've been jostled, and now A.J. Brown's hurt, and the quarterback is injured with a mangled finger. So I used to think that the Eagles were the favorite to probably face off against the San Francisco 49ers, but now, especially when we decide who wins and we lay this bracket out, it might be impossible. I don't know that this Eagle team is going to end up in a title game. I just don't feel like they have what it takes. I think the Rams, the Lions, the Packers, the Cowboys, even maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, quite honestly, at this point, depending on how mangled the Eagles are walking into that Tampa Bay game, I think all these teams could knock them off on any given day. So this is not one of those things where I feel like, oh, it'll be okay, like Josh Allen. If it throws a couple of interceptions, they scrape by, crawl through, and win a game like Josh Allen does, and like the Bills have been. They've been crawling into victories. I quite honestly can't say the same thing at all about this Eagles situation. I can't tell you, oh, it's going to all be okay. They're mangled, they're beat up, and they don't have good coaching or play calling right now. And Sirianni is kind of a paper tiger coach. I like him. He's done some good things, but at the same time, I've been very critical of him that he didn't even know how good Jalen Hurts was when he first got there. He was trying to replace him. So everybody wants to praise him for how good Jalen Hurts is. This guy didn't know he even had a great quarterback when he first arrived, and tried to potentially, he benched him during his first Jalen Hurts' first season when he played 3 games, and then he comes in and tries to replace him. Anyway, all right, let's go on over to what's this other piece of news? Austin Eckler, oh God. And Sirianni actually wasn't, I might have misspoke on that benching part. Sirianni arrived in, what year was it? Ziggy, when did Sirianni become the head coach of the Eagles?
From liquidomeGecko.com. He was hired as the Eagles head coach back in January 2021
Yeah, okay.
and is now leading the team into their 2021
Ziggy
season.
off. Yeah, that does seem accurate then. Okay. Eckler had 10 rushes for 10 yards in the Chargers' Week 18 loss against the Chiefs, adding 7 catches for 39. Now look, the 7 for 39 wasn't bad, but Eckler's done. It will be interesting where he goes. His ADP will be all over the map. If he lands somewhere where there's no competition, or it's a great situation for him to pull in passes and do some work on the ground, maybe everybody doubts him and his value's okay. But if anybody's going to expect to draft him like in the top 30 overall and get their value back, he's done. He's done. This is a 28-year-old running back. The drop-off for almost every running back in the history of the NFL is between 28 and 29. In recent years, it's not what it used to be back in the day. 30, 31, Priest Holmes days, Arian Foster days. You could be 30, turning 31, but if you're 31 when the season started, you're almost cooked. 32, you're done. Now it's 27, 28. This guy entered at 28. McCaffrey's entering his 28 age season, and we're giving him that benefit of the doubt because he's McCaffrey and he's also finishing strong. Now Eckler finished strong at 27 years old last year and came into this 2023 season on a tear, right? But the guy crapped the bed, and he does not look the same. And rushing 10 times for 10 yards is just further proof. Now, I feel like the Chargers are a mess, and it's hard to judge and put it all on Eckler, but I don't think this guy is going to get what he thinks in the fair market value in terms of money. But maybe he does land a starting gig, and we'll have to play it by ear. Like Henry, we have to play it by ear. Where's Henry going to be? Where's Eckler going to be? There's going to be 2 hot offseason topics, and where they go and where their ADPs will dictate whether we like them or not in 2024. So let's kind of wait and see before we totally draw conclusions, because what if his ADP's in the 7th round? What if it's in the 5th round? Like, we have to look at all those things, but for right now, he looks toast. He looks like nowhere close to the Eckler of old. And at this point, it's like, bye, Eckler. It was nice. We gave him a standing ovation last time. We gave him his flowers. He earned it. He took care of us for many, many years. There's no hatred toward Eckler. We love Eckler, but he's done. He's done as the Eckler we knew. CeeDee Lamb, 13 targets. How many receptions did he get on those 13 targets, Smitty? 13. No, Smitty, I know he had 13 targets. How many receptions did he get? 13. 13 of 13, 98 and 2 tutties. Not one, duh. That's 2 in boss talk. Good God. This guy's just getting better. Didn't he grow like an inch in the offseason? Remember that report where CeeDee Lamb grew an inch? I think it was maybe last offseason. Unbelievable. Everybody drop a lamb emoji, please, and give this man his flowers. I mean, he'll probably end up on the Saturn list. I mean, it's hard to put him on the moon list because, like, you know, that's almost like predicting something. Saturn's like stamp of approval, proven, tested, top dog. Trust him, draft him in round 1, draft him in round 2, no hesitation type of. That's the Saturn list is kind of all about. And he definitely fits the bill. He's arguably, you could argue he's the 1 or 2 overall wide receiver next year. I mean, drop a lamb emoji. Superfish, drop the actual lamb emoji. We've got a CeeDee Lamb emoji. Appreciate you all in here, by the way. We got 300 people in here. Hit that thumb up button. Only 93 thumbs up. It takes just a second to like the video, but 300 eyeballs in here. Unbelievable day for CeeDee Lamb. Fantastic. Unbelievable. This guy's getting better every single day. Sam Laporta, we talked about this. Laporta hyperextended his knee. Bone bruise, will miss some time. And like I said, I can't imagine him playing in the next 2 contests, but we'll have to see how bad the bone bruise is. JJ kind of resurrecting his fantasy football outlook in 2024. And anybody that was going to hesitate on making him a top 5 overall pick probably is going to rethink that now because he finished on a tear. Without his main quarterback, Kirk Cousins, he's still doing it without Kirk, so it makes people feel very, very warm and fuzzy inside, as it should. pulling in 12 of 14, getting spoon-fed, overfed, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, he can deliver. 192 and a touchdown for JJ without Kirk Cousins. This is great news for anybody that wants to invest a top 5 pick in JJ. I know it's scary whenever a player misses a lot of time to invest in that player again the next year, but if there's going to be a wide receiver you put your money on in 2024 in the top 5, him and Tyreek Hill definitely fit the bill. I'd almost say I trust JJ more than I trust Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is getting older, and while I don't think he should be knocked out of the top 5 or 6 or 7 at all, I'm just merely saying push comes to shove between JJ and Hill. Look, Hill's banged up right now too. Hill didn't miss time like JJ, but he is banged up. He did leave people hanging when it counted, though, Tyreek Hill. So Tyreek Hill and JJ are both kind of in the same boat or coming out of the same boat. Maybe JJ missed more time, but they both left you hanging at the end of the day. You can't judge one more than the other, and one's younger, one's has never really even had injury history at all. He's never really even been on the injury report, JJ, until this season. So JJ's a fantastic top 5 overall pick next year. If you want to go wide receiver in round 1 and inside the top 5 or 6, JJ will be your guy. Amon-Ra, we talked about Amon-Ra. Let's see here. We got Ja'Marr Chase. This is a guy that I won't be drafting in the top 6 probably ever again. I'm not saying I shouldn't say that. I'm not ever again, but until I see evidence that he can put it together for multiple seasons. Like, even if he has a top 3 wide receiver season, I think I still need to see it. And the problem with that is, like, how you gonna wait that long? So that's why I say I don't know that he's gonna be in my top 5 or 6. I'm not saying I don't love Ja'Marr Chase at the turn pick, 12, 13 turn, fantastic. You could get the number 2 or number 1 or number 3 wide receiver at the 12, 13 turn, at the 9 overall pick, the 10 overall pick. But at this point, there's just too many moving parts constantly in JJ's way. Whether it's Burrow going down, whether it's Ja'Marr Chase going down, whether it's Burrow starting slow, and I love Burrow. We'll always love Burrow. Burrow's got a special place in our heart, but this is an adjust and adapt community, and Ja'Marr Chase has not earned my trust to go above anybody in the top 8, 9, 10. I'm drafting Breece Hall over Ja'Marr every single time. I'm drafting Jahmyr Gibbs over Ja'Marr Chase every single time. I'm obviously drafting JJ, Tyreek Hill, CMC, Kyren Williams. Like, the list is guaranteeing that Chase will not touch or breach my top 7. CeeDee Lamb over Ja'Marr Chase. So how is Ja'Marr Chase worth anything but an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 overall pick? The answer is he's not. And he's got the upside to be, but he's not worth the pick higher than 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I don't know where he's going to fall, frankly. But he could be a value. Maybe everybody else doubts him even more than that, and then he becomes a 12, 13 turn value pick. And then I'm back in. It doesn't mean I'm not in the Ja'Marr Chase game. It really depends where his ADP is. As I always say on this show, everything is determined by ADP. Everything. I could love Saquon Barkley next year, or I could hate Saquon Barkley in terms of fantasy value next year. I could love Ja'Marr Chase next year, or I could hate his fantasy value next year. Every single thing is about ADP. Everything. Everything. Barkley, 18 totes, 46 yards. Doch tutties on the ground. 2 tutties. Where's he going? Where's Henry going to be? Where's Barkley going to be? Where's Jacobs going to be? Where's Eckler going to be? This offseason is going to be lit. And this man's going to lead the way in terms of where does he land? Where is he going to go? It's going to be phenomenal convo and videos that we're going to drop all over. This guy finished strong. He had his ups and downs this year. And some of you weren't even able to capitalize on his nice little resurgence this year. But 6 of 10, 106 and a tutty. He's going to be a free agent. He will be one of the most sought after free agents because it's Higgins, it's Ridley, it's Hollywood Brown. This potential free agent market wide receiver group is not very deep. So Ridley will be a hot commodity this offseason, especially finishing the way that he's finished. And you can bet that a team like the Chargers, even though they probably want to go younger, will look at Ridley. Kansas City Chiefs could look at Ridley. There's a lot of teams that could go in the direction of Ridley. and really is a fantastic prospect next year because he'll be doubted extremely heavily. Not a lot of people are going to want to pay a high value price tag for him. And so by default, he should be in a very nice ADP. And like I just said, everything's about ADP. So we're definitely going to be interested in that. Smitty has taught me to hate anyone in the NFL over 28. That's not my intention, but I appreciate you. Okay, so really is in the books in terms of being talked about. I think we're getting close to the end here. And then we're going to open up the phone lines. Arthur Smith has been fired. If anybody didn't know, Bijan Robinson had a 100-plus yard receiving game. I think we're good to go on all the news. I think we hit these super chats that have been sitting here. Perps with a $20 hauler. Ron Navy with a $20 hauler. John with the $4 hauler. Megas with the $5 hauler. Let me get to these real quick. Puka broke over 60-year-old records. Puka to Saturn. Steelers taking the Bills out next week, says Ron Navy. That will be a fun game. Maybe Ron and I will do some sort of, side bet on that one. That one will be fun. But Ron, thank you for the 20.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Ron Navy with the $20 hauler. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate you. John, thank you. I'm going to get your super chat 1 second. Perps says Arthur Smith, who? Bijan, number 1 overall. Perps, appreciate you.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Perps, my mang. Arthur Smith, who? Arthur Smith fired, for anybody that didn't know. Mega says Bijan season 2024, Brees to Saturn, and my number 1.
To Saturn.
Thank you for dropping that. Megas, appreciate you dropping that super chat. This one from John. John says, started off ranked last after the draft, finished 11-3. Wow. After just won my $250 championship. Haven't played in a decade, but Brees, Moore, St. Brown won it for me. John, are you still here? Congratulations, John. Let me send you to Saturn.
To Saturn.
Thank you for the $5 hauler. Appreciate you coming in and dropping that as a way of saying thanks. And we're glad to have you. Welcome to the family. And don't go anywhere. Even if anybody's going to not play, I hope none of you take that approach to injuries. And, I'm not going to play fantasy football. That's acting like Arthur Smith, to be honest with you. I'm going to quit fantasy. Injuries hit me. That sounds like Arthur Smith. Don't be an Arthur Smith. Don't be an Arthur. We're going to have a button for that. Don't be an Arthur Smith. Okay, that's when you have a temper tantrum or a crybaby episode. And I'll have those too. I'll hit the button for myself. Sometimes I will have a temper tantrum. It happens. But don't do it. And quite honestly, even if you were to quit fantasy, you shouldn't quit this channel because we cover the NFL like nobody. We do NFL news, the offseason like nobody. And so, there's no reason for anybody to feel that way. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Arthur Smith fired. Let me put, because some people are still saying it like this obviously isn't saying the word fired on this graphic unless you look at the lower print. So let me put a big red fired on top of this graphic so that it gets the proper attention. Fired. Official. Doing it live. You gotta love it. Hey, Ron, congratulations. Happy Arthur Smith has been fired day.
Hit the road, Arthur. And don't
come back anymore.
No more.
Happy Arthur Smith's been fired today. Today is now technically Eastern time on January 8, 2024. That's Arthur Smith fired day. Oh, it's a good day.
Yep.
Okay,
good
so
day.
let me answer some phone calls, then I'll go to my bracket, and then I'll come back to the phone calls. So let me hit some phone calls first, guys, then I'll go to my bracket. Ron, what can I do for you?
Yeah, well, I know how this week's gonna go, so I don't know when you're gonna start really ramping up the playoff. I'm just glad. You know what's making me mad about the NFL right now is this whole exclusively on Peacock bull crap. I mean, the NFL is trying to force people to get streaming services.
It's free. It's free though, Ron. It's free though, Ron. I get what you're saying, but Peacock, they have a free plan. Can you not watch the game on the free plan? Have you investigated that? Maybe that's the case.
No. Steelers are going to be on Sunday now playing the Bills. The Kansas City game is the Peacock game, so it's Kansas City, Miami.
Look, I'll be honest. I have them all. I have every streaming pretty much thing.
But it's the start, Smitty. It's the start of them. Pretty much like WrestleMania's pay-per-view, right? Like all these pay-per-view, It's the same thing. They're going to sending all these games over. They're starting all this pay-per-view like Amazon, right? You have to have Amazon to watch Thursday night games, right? So they're trying to exclusively go to that, and we got to stand up against these greedy son of a guns because the NFL is greedy. I do
think the solution should be if you do have this Sunday NFL ticket, you should just have it. Like if you're gonna do, I agree with you. If you're gonna do that, I think you shouldn't pull those games out. I got you, and I understand. But anyway,
it's gonna be hard.
Congrats to your Steelers. It's
gonna be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for me this week because I know you're gonna be going Buffalo. And I'll be going Steelers.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're playing in Buffalo rather than having to go to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think it will be a fun little match. We'll have to do some sort of like side challenge bet or something.
Nope.
No?
Ain't doing it.
You don't want to be you don't want to jinx it?
No, last time I did that with the defense, I jinxed them, so I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Not in playoffs.
Yeah, no, let me just say that everybody in this entire division, this entire conference, is susceptible. Like, there's holes up and down. Like, wouldn't shock me if the Cleveland Browns or the Houston Texans, like, just walk straight up, you know. I'll do my bracket in a little bit, and wouldn't shock me at all if we're sitting here looking at some kind of crazy title game, you know, against the Baltimore Ravens, or even if the Baltimore Ravens, like, they seem to be the most well put together team from top to bottom, but like they've dropped the ball before. There's no guarantee the Baltimore Ravens don't choke or run up against the Cleveland type defense and just somehow, some way lose. Buffalo still, in my mind, they figure out ways to win games. They're not even firing on all cylinders right now. Now that's a problem, and they may be like the Eagles. It's not their year. They just can't pull it together. That's certainly possible, but I feel that way about everybody here. I don't feel like anybody but the Ravens right now feel like they're well put together and firing on all cylinders. The Miami Dolphins certainly aren't. The Chiefs are certainly not. The Pittsburgh Steelers, it's kind of like you guys are playing really well. It's probably frustrating for you to like, because I don't know how you feel about your quarterback situation, but you almost want them to address it. I don't know how you feel about Pickett. I don't know if you're still sold on Pickett. If I was a Steeler fan, I would almost want them to just rip the Band-Aid off and get this big name quarterback in here because you've got the team. I think you just need the signal caller. Now, granted, right now you're getting pretty damn good production, and I'd like to see where it goes, but if it doesn't end the way you want to, I hope you guys don't just dance around the position, because if you got a big-time signal caller, like one of these elite rookie QBs, and you trade it up, you got aggressive, you'd have a scary freaking team from top to bottom. You'd feel like...
That's not the way.
What?
That's not the Steeler way. And I still believe in Pickett. I still believe in him. And I think Mason showed a lot this year from when he started a couple years ago.
Agreed.
He's no longer floating the ball, more accurate. They're starting to run the ball. But here's the thing is if Pittsburgh goes in and beats Buffalo, that means Pittsburgh and Baltimore play the next game. Baltimore's first game will be Pittsburgh going to Baltimore again.
Yeah. See,
who was the first before they had the seven seeds? Who was the first 6 seed to go on and win the Super Bowl? It was the Steelers.
I know, Ron, but that doesn't matter. Like the bottom line is and we'll see how you guys are playing really well. You're playing high level football, to some degree. How injured is Watt? That's going to be
He's got. Well, it's a grade 2. It's not a grade 3. They were saying grade 3.
Grade 3 surgery.
Grade 2.
Yeah, grade 3 surgery. You know what I mean? Like like grade 2 still like games. So that makes it very hard for me to envision this panning out. But like I said, man, every single one of these teams, but the Baltimore Ravens, feel very, very shaky. It's on some level, some level. I mean, what if the Cleveland Browns walk straight all the way up to the big dance? Like in the conference at least. Like they have the defense to maybe make it happen. The Texans are very exciting. The Chiefs are capable of.
What if the Rams?
Yeah,
the same way. What if the Rams do it?
Rams or Lions or
they're playing their backups.
The only one
they still beat Chris.
The only one I don't see. The only one I don't see capable, and I might be wrong on this, but I think the Bucks kind of don't belong. I think that they deserve maybe the spot they earned, but I don't think that it's almost like they showed up and to a party and they're not dressed appropriately. I feel like they're the one team in the NFC that I don't think is. What?
Saints were in it. Carolina was in it. And,
I know.
And Atlanta was in it. So they're the best in their division. So.
Right.
Yeah,
the Bucks aren't either.
Who's talking here?
I think if they face anybody, it would be the Bucks.
What'd you say, Alex?
They're lucky.
I mean, the Bucks are awful as well. They scored 9 points against Carolina.
I know. They're like Dumb and Dumber showing up to the ball, in their tuxedos, their blue and orange tuxedos. Hey, Alex, what's your take on today in general? First of all, happy fired Arthur Smith Day to you, young man.
What a terrible day. This is horrible.
What do you mean?
This is
Saints. Yeah. For you.
This is exactly what I didn't want to happen.
I hear you, bud. Your team would have been the same thing. If the Saints would have made the playoffs here, they would have been the same thing as the Bucks. It would have been sticking out like a sore thumb. They didn't necessarily belong. They barely got in. They got the last invitation to a party that they couldn't really hang with. I mean, that's the way I feel about the Saints, bro.
I think we're better than the Bucks, but I think you're still right. I mean,
wouldn't it be great if the Bucks moved on and won 2 rounds?
I mean, we played really good today. We played really good today, and you should thank them.
Look, Carr did pretty well. Olave looked fantastic.
Yeah, Olave had an amazing catch. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that bobble catch, that was great. That was a fantastic catch. All right, hang tight. Alex, you got anything else? I'm going to circle around the phone line. If everybody can mute real quick unless I'm talking to you, just so there's a lot of talking over, and I want to give everybody a chance. So, Alex, you got anything before I move on? You can stay on the phone line. I'll circle around, but what'd you have?
So where do you think Drake London is going to be? Where does he rank next season?
If, let's say, they bring in a very solid coach that has the right mentality, and we're feeling very confident about that, and they don't bring in, like, let's say Nathaniel Hackett, or something like that. If they bring in a nice offensive-minded coach, I would probably put London in the top 9 to 14. I think you got to give him a big range, because there's no way you can really rank him in the top 10. If I went through the top 10 wide receivers with you, you'd tell me there's just no room. There's no room. But I want to give him like that ceiling value. So let's call it 9 to 15. I think you'd more realistically have him toward the later end of that, but you'd have hopefulness that he could drop massive, explosions on the field constantly and become that 150-yard every 4-game wide receiver that he was this year, but just spaced out more than that. You know, like he's capable of 170-yard games. Like he's that good. He's a phenomenal player. He just needs a quarterback. So much will depend on who the quarterback is. Much will depend on the coach. A lot of moving parts for me to guess on, but I'm just saying, do I think they bring in a good coach? Do I think they go after a Fields or draft one of these amazing rookie quarterbacks and get London the football? Yes, I do think they will. So we'll call it 9. We'll call it 9 to 17. Big range, bro, but capable of being anywhere in there. But we can't say anything higher than that. If I came out and said top 10, that's crazy because we have no clue who the coach is. We have no clue who the quarterback is. We have no clue that things are going to ultimately change. We just hope that they will. We think that they will. Logically, they should, right? But I don't know. We got to find out who they bring in. What if they bring in? What's his face? Who's that one coach?
If they bring in Ben Johnson, I'm scared. I'm terrified. Like,
what if they hire Belichick?
Their offense would be insane. I'd be very terrified.
Look. They have, as I said earlier, we're all very conditioned.
But their quarterback is terrible.
We're all very conditioned to think that the Falcons are a garbage team, and we really aren't even paying attention to what we thought, a year ago when we said they've got a top 10 overall pick that they invested in a wide receiver. That wasn't a bad pick. He's the real deal. He's worth the investment. They have a top 5 overall pick tight end that is the real deal, but his confidence is probably fading too. You never know if you can fully repair a player that's been misused for 2-3 years in a row. We'll have to see, but I do like Kyle Pitts a lot still. And you've got a guy that got drafted at number 8 overall in Bijan Robinson. You have 3 top 8 overall picks in being completely misused, a good, well-playing defense that's surprised a lot of people, and you just wonder how good they'll be if the offense is firing on all cylinders. But good God, man, this is like one of the most ideal situations to be handed as a coach and a quarterback, so I have a feeling it'll be an attractive place to be. But yeah, like Harbaugh and Fields, says Manny, you get some combination like that, and the Bears might be tempted. This wasn't the game that Fields needed to really solidify the fan base and the momentum that he needed to make it uncomfortable for Poles to pull the trigger and get rid of Fields and move on. I think this is the game that Poles wanted to happen in his back of his mind because they want to move on from Fields, and this might have inked it. This might have put in motion a Justin Fields trade because Fields didn't have the game that everybody, I think, was expecting him to maybe come out swinging and have. Because had he had like a 350-yard, 3 TD, 50-yard rushing game, 4 touchdown total game or something, then Fields would have, I think, been very hard to move on from. Because there would have been a lot of pressure involved. So I think he's on the move. Where does he go? I don't know. Atlanta would be fantastic. There are a lot of scenarios that would be absolutely lit for Justin Fields to wander over to.
The grass ain't always greener. I mean, you move on from Fields, and you think the grass is greener, and it may not be.
I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying the Bears want to, and that's good for Fields. Look, Fields was, I feel like that was an L, that I had on the year, but I think, I could ultimately end up being right about the player eventually. Sometimes I'm a year early on a player, on a prediction, and I think that in the right spot, like Atlanta, he would be unbelievable. I don't feel like I was off on the evaluation. I was off on the situation and the cohesion and the ability for it to all flourish and progress in that situation. I think Poles is not good. I don't think he's making the right calls. I think there are a lot of Chicago fans that are Ryan Poles believers, and I don't know that he's the right guy for the job. And so, to your point, whoever goes there may do well, may not. I don't know. Part of me wonders if they get a mobile quarterback like JD5, I'm going to be in a little bit of a place of concern because they just mismanaged a mobile quarterback, and I don't think that's what they want anyway. But if they go get like a Bo Nix, if they get a Caleb Williams, we'll have to see. I think Caleb is probably going to Chicago.
But I think with that offensive line, I mean, a pocket quarterback would probably get sacked even more. I mean,
we'll find out. That's why I'm not huge. I'm not as huge on Caleb as other people. I'm not saying Caleb is bad. I think Caleb in the right spot could be the number 1 quarterback in this draft class. I think people people don't like my takes because sometimes I look at, especially my rookie analysis, bro. I'll never forget I know Hopkins seems like an obvious call now, but when I did my rookie evals in January, the DeAndre Hopkins year, Hopkins was my number 1 wide receiver in the January, based on just talent alone. And people are like, what in the hell are you doing with your wide receiver ranking? Like, based on talent alone, JD5 is my number 1 quarterback. My number 2 quarterback's Penix Jr. My number 3 quarterback's Bo Nix. And then my number 4 quarterback is Caleb Williams. I know Caleb's loaded with talent, and I know we have that like quarterback fatigue. I liken it to like political figures when a candidate comes out and tries to run for president or whatever, Congress, whatever, and they do it too early, you get fatigue. And you start looking at them in a negative way. You start overjudging them. You get tired of them. And then somebody pops up onto the scene that's new and fresh. And you're like, oh, yeah, this, and you switch up. That's kind of what I think has happened to Caleb in some unfair ways. But at the same time, I didn't see what I thought. I didn't see what I wanted this year. I realized he had some limitations. I realized his offense had some limitations. A lot of people said things like, if he didn't extend the play and do the things that he did and danced around the way that he did, he wouldn't have, the team wouldn't have won any games because they had to score every time they had the ball. Like I get all that. I get he was working with a lesser situation to some degree. I get that some of his scrambling, when I say he's just too much of a scrambler, is because he didn't have open wide receivers and he had to do the best he could, and he did it. Like, I get those arguments, but at the same time, this is a guy that I just see he holds onto the football too long. He's learned to play in that state of mind and in that type of way that it's going to be hard for me to see him process something quick and hit his first read and jump into the NFL and start tearing it up. So when he is playing the way he plays, until I see him, I'm not saying he can't pick it up, until I see him process in the way that he would need to at the NFL level, I'm just not as big of a fan. JD5 to me is just, yeah, there's some concerns, there's some negatives, but every one of these QBs has some pros and cons. But JD5 to me just screams on film next Lamar Jackson, but maybe even better in some other ways. He's got a cannon, he's got great touch, he's got a great deep ball. I don't think there's any sort of limitations. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He's a monster. And JD5 is, I think, the next AR5 meets Lamar Jackson. I really do. So where does he go? I don't know. Where does Penix Jr. go? I don't know. Monday night is the national championship game, and Penix Jr. is going to walk himself into the top 5 overall or tank down into the 15, 20, 30 range, depending on his performance. If he goes out and craps the bed, he won't be a top 10 pick. If he goes out there and wins a national championship, then you bet your bottom dollar he'll be in top 5 overall conversations. There'll be people saying, does he go 1? And it's going to be just like Cam Newton, where Cam Newton wasn't even close to being the number 1 overall pick his rookie year. Things change quickly. And in the national championship game spotlight, even McCarthy. Maybe McCarthy jumps into the top 4 overall based on the national championship game. You win a national championship and you do it with 4 touchdowns, McCarthy might be the second or third quarterback off the board. There are some people that say McCarthy's the number 2 or number 1 quarterback on their board. So a lot can happen. All right, hang on, Alex. Let me jump around the phone line real quick. Scuba Steve was next, followed by Amy. Scuba, you're live.
Hey, Smitty, I'm happy about this Arthur Smith stuff, but hey, man, I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but you need to check this Jameis Winston post-game interview, man. It's making its rounds on the internet, man. It's pretty good. He said that he basically overruled Dennis Allen, and he made that call at the end that got Arthur Smith hot at the end of the game, man. It's pretty. If you ever have a chance to listen to his stuff, Jameis Winston, man, it's pretty good.
I love Jameis Winston content, bro. He ate that ever since he ate that W when he
yeah. But like I said, if you get a chance after the show or something, just look this up. It's on the internet.
I will.
they asked him after the game what he thought about the call, and he basically he said that he was the one that the
Yeah,
players,
I heard you.
Overruled.
I love Scuba Steve. Never says things twice. I appreciate you, Scuba. I miss you calling in, bro. I miss you saying everything twice. Hey, Scuba, tell me how you felt about Bijan being fired. Do you think this man's a top 5 overall pick now, Bijan? Are you still going to be a cautious Caleb with him? And I don't blame you. Is he 10, 12? Is he a second rounder until you really get a firm feel on who's QBing and who's coaching this thing?
Well, I'm definitely going back into him in the first round again if he's a talent there. And I actually wanted to ask you, too, because you actually brought up his name, Penix Jr. Realistically, you think that the Falcons will go after him? I mean, they are a quarterback away. I don't know who they plan, like if the GM's safe over there and stuff. I don't know who they plan on bringing in as a coach, but I feel like Penix Jr. would be a perfect quarterback over there for him. They don't have to really.
Bro, I love Penix Jr. in Atlanta. I love JD5 in Atlanta. I think Penix Jr., if he could stay healthy, would be even a more ideal fit in Atlanta. Because he's not necessarily a scrambling quarterback. I mean, he can, but he's more of a gunslinger, drop back passer. JD5's more of a Lamar. So he's a hybrid. But I definitely feel like, 100,000% Penix in Atlanta would be freaking ideal, bro. I think, and we'll know tomorrow night. Like, I know some people are a little bit on the fence. Ron's on the fence with Penix Jr. I think he said he likes him. He just is worried about his injury history. But I think that Monday night will either confirm all the Penix Jr. believers, like, yeah, he's it, and he's going to be in the top 5 conversation overall. Or the people that are doubting him, they're going to get a little confirmation that, okay, yeah, this guy just I don't feel it, or whatever. We'll find out. It's a big spotlight game, and it's crazy when you get this, like, opportunity that nobody else gets. McCarthy gets it. Corum gets it. Penix Jr. gets it. Like, this is a fantastic second chance. Like, what have you done for me lately? Last impression. When somebody has a pro day and they go last, it always has kind of a little bit of more of an impression because you're the last one to go. So we'll see what Penix Jr. does, bro. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be one of the most, I think, exciting national championship games, in my opinion, because there's a lot of playmakers in this, a lot of NFL draft prospects from the offensive side of the football, both sides of the football, but offensive line too. Like, this is a great game to showcase these guys that are going to go high in the draft. I can't wait.
And also too, in terms of like fantasy with Penix, what do you think? What do you think? Is he like more of like a dynasty, like long-term like guy? Like how are you evaluating this prospect in terms for like fantasy football?
I think he's my number 2. I did my QB rankings. He's my number 2 fantasy football QB, rookie QB prospect. I think that Bo Nix in the right spot could leapfrog him. I think that Penix could be my number 1 if he lands in Atlanta or somebody great, and let's say JD5 goes to New England. Then I'm not done with JD5, but I'm certainly going to temper my rookie year expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So landing spot's going to kick someone in the nuts, bro. And I think I'll probably be Caleb. Like, let's say if Caleb goes to Chicago, it's not a bad location, but there's a reason. Like, look, do I think I'm wrong about Fields, or do I think they misused him? I think it's a combination of a few things, but I know Fields has got a lot of work to do, but I don't think that we were wrong on the talent. I do believe this is a Chicago problem more than it is anything. If it's not necessarily a Chicago problem and not necessarily a Fields problem, then it was a fit problem. And they're trying to change out the fit, and then maybe Caleb works well in Chicago or something. But I think that's not the spot you really want him going to. And you don't want JD5 going there either, because they failed with a mobile quarterback. I don't want to see that happen again. So I'm not in love with that situation. I think New England's a bad situation as well. I got to update my draft order. I don't think this is fully correct at all. New York Giants with Dable's a good and a bad spot. It's a great spot because of Dable. It's a bad spot because they don't have the wide receiver support. But guess what? They could fix that with the free agency or rookie draft selection. So, it depends on what they do there. Like Dable with Higgins, and I don't love Higgins as a true wide receiver one because I don't think he can stay healthy. But Higgins or Ridley or, someone like that going to play with JD5. I mean, are we holding against AR5 that he, and I know a lot of people love Pittman, and I don't mean to make this sound bad toward Pittman, and I know I constantly underrate Pittman. I admit that. I'm biased against him for whatever reason, but maybe because he's burned me several hundred times. But I do feel like we don't judge AR5 for not having Jamar Chase or JJ. He's got a solid wide receiver room, but not the elite of the elite. And he scores like crazy. So if JD5 went to, let's say, play with the Giants, and look, hey, Dable was good with the mobile Josh Allen, he could be very interested in JD5. Then I think that, if they land someone like T. Higgins or Ridley, that's fine. Like, he could still be an AR5 type of player. So, we'll see, bro.
Oh, man, we definitely will, man. And T. Law next year too, man. He's definitely got to prove himself because after they didn't make the playoffs, and it's gonna take into a lot of perspective. We're gonna see how all these guys shake out, man. Like I can't wait for next year, especially with the field stuff, and even with the Herbert stuff too, man. Like what's gonna happen with him if he actually gets a competent head coach.
Yeah, hang tight, Scuba. Hang right there. Amy, what's up? You're live. I'm gonna try and keep it as quick as you can, guys. I got to go around the phone line. So I assume you're calling because you absolutely destroyed your league mate and you won your championship, right?
Well, here's the thing. I actually called because I told the chat that I had to call and blame you for what happened. And just hear me out. You said to play Gibbs. You said to play Laporta. He gets hurt. And then Reed. And then Barkley. Barkley killed it.
Yeah, he did.
I actually called Barkley and I said, listen, man, every time I play you,
step up.
You get like 6 or 9 points. And this time, he killed it. I totally destroyed him today.
Nice. What was your total score?
It was awesome. 180, total 326.
For
so
2 weeks, so
above,
180.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I got
the moon.
I got 180 just this week, and then 326.
Congrats.
So,
nice job.
It was cool. Yeah, I totally won it, so I'm excited. But thanks in the chat, too. Everybody helped me out. But
absolutely.
First year playing, and I destroyed them, so.
Well, we're going to do it again. Run it back. 2024 is yours, and you're going to show them how it's done with
excited.
a full off-season preparation starts now.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. All the content, figure out, because, I learned a lot, but I still need to learn a lot more. But that was great about Arthur Smith, too. It'd be fun to watch and see what happens with Bijan,
Yep.
So cool. But thanks. I appreciate it.
Congrats.
Okay. All right. We'll see ya.
Theo, hang tight real quick. I'm coming to you next. Can you shout out Go Blue for me, broski, says Sick Nasty with a $2 holler. Well, you dropped a super chat, so I have to. But Go Blue. Go Blue, Sick Nasty. Maybe. Thanks for the super chat. Sick Nasty to the moon. Perps with a $20 hauler. Arthur Smith ruined the Falcons. I'm drafting Bijan 1.1 and JD5 at 2.12. Mark it down. Don't take JD5 that high. Oh God, no perps. I call it off. Make sure you get him at a value. Now, do I think that JD5 could climb into like the territory where like AR5 was getting drafted in August? Like, could he get into that 5, 6, 7 round territory? Sure, if he was in a starting job. But there's also the possibility he goes somewhere where he's not starting week 1 or something. We don't fully know. It's kind of like an outdated way to treat your top, 15 overall pick in a top 5 drafted quarterback. You typically start him in today's NFL, but you never know where he goes. I've made this comment before. I know this is not going to be mainstream, but I would be very excited in some ways and be disappointed in terms of 2024 output, but very excited as the Jets ended up drafting like a JD5. Just because we don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to do it. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers at 87 years old is going to stay healthy. There's concerns. And so for me, if let's say Penix Jr. did fall to the second round, just for whatever reason, or a JD5 fell for whatever reason, I would love to see the Jets scoop up a quarterback, have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers. Don't do the whole Jordan Love thing like they did that year when they pissed off Aaron Rodgers and drafted Jordan Love without talking to him. But you say, hey, A-Rod, look what happened when you went down. We need to prepare for the future. You won't be here forever. Let's bring in a guy, because this QB class is special. This Jets team is special. And quite honestly, I think if you add Aaron Rodgers in a solidified quarterback situation, it's better off than even filling another position of need. To be honest with you, I think the Jets have that kind of talent already, and they could address the rest of it in the second, third round free agency. Personally, if I was running the team, I would do a move that I think a lot of people would say, what in the hell are you doing? And I would say, just watch. Sit back and wait. JD5 to the Jets, it would be unbelievable. But Perps, you definitely want to wait on JD5. Make sure you draft him in the right place. But look, Bijan's going to go to the moon next year. We do have to kind of be a little patient and make sure all those moving parts, we identify what's happening, who's coaching, who's quarterbacking. There's a lot of reasons why we shouldn't vault him to the top of round 1 yet. But is he at the 12-13 turn immediately, Bijan? Absolutely. Was he in the third round an hour ago, 2 hours ago? Yes. Bijan with Arthur Smith in 2024 would have been in the third round. And I wouldn't have blamed anybody, and I probably wouldn't have drafted him in round 2. Now that Arthur Smith is fired, Bijan jumps immediately to the 12-13 turn picks, and you can make arguments 4 or 5 slots up. You can make arguments 4 or 5 slots below. So I appreciate your super chat. Perps to the moon, $20 hauler. Let's go, my boy. $20.
Alert. Super chat alert.
My boy Perps coming through. Perps says, go blue. $20 hauler. He's not afraid. Sick nasty to make me say go blue again.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Okay, thank you both for dropping that. Perps to the moon. Perps, you're a monster. Perps gifted 50 gifted memberships in the chat. I think that was an old one, right? I just want to make sure if you did it again or you did another one, I appreciate you. If anybody else drops some more, I appreciate you. Let me go over to Theo, then back to Ron Navy. Theo, what can I do for you? You're live. Try and keep it as quick as you can.
Yeah, I was having some arguments with some people in the chat. Some Niners fans were saying Purdy's a top 5 QB. Where do you think Purdy is in QB? Because I don't even think he's top 10.
So
even though I like him, I really like Purdy, but
I like what Purdy's doing. He's been scoring really well. He's had a great year. But I think it's ridiculous when people get mad at you when you don't have Purdy in the top 5. That's when you know you're dealing with a Niner fan and Niner bias, is when they won't allow you, in their mind, to have another quarterback above them. Especially if you have that conversation, this is how you know you're talking to just a Niner fan. They're not thinking fantasy. They're not thinking, is you tell them you'd rather have another quarterback like Josh Allen or Mahomes over Purdy, to quarterback their team for the future, and they'd be like, "Are you kidding me? Are you?" They're thrown back. They're just like, Purdy's the only guy I want, and that's fine. But those are goggles. You got goggles on. Could Purdy work out? Yeah, but we got a long way to go before we start locking Purdy into the top 5 quarterbacks for 2024 and beyond, especially beyond. So does Purdy have top 7 to 10 potential next year? Top even 6 to 10, top 5 to 10 potential? Sure. You want to say Purdy's going to finish 5? I don't hate the take. It's just he's not in my top 5. I find it hard to put him in the top 8 because in my top 5 to 8, in my top 4 to 8, you're trying to force Stroud in there. You're trying to force Burrow in there. You're trying to force AR5 into that conversation. Those are guys that are outside the top 4, 5, 6. Purdy's not going to get drafted in front of those guys unless he goes on a tear, which he could. But we're talking about January 8 right now, Eastern time, January 8. and we haven't seen the playoffs unfold. Now, if the playoffs unfold and Purdy scores 3 touchdowns a game, leads his team to a championship, absolutely looks like a bona fide top 5 quarterback, we can have this conversation later, and I won't even feel stupid about it because we got to see this play out. We haven't seen enough play out. Purdy's vanished at a certain point this year. You could blame it on the concussion. You could blame it on another stinger injury. But he has vanished and turned into a pumpkin twice this year and rebounded, resurged. But he's also got the best weapons in the National Football League, which on one turn you can't separate situation from player. Just like in the back in the day, you couldn't take Tomlinson off of his Charger situation. You couldn't take Arian Foster and rapture him from the Houston Texans. You couldn't take Priest Holmes off of the amazing Kansas City Chief offense. It is what it is. You know, Kurt Warner played inside the greatest show on turf, and you can't take him away from his situation either. You can't take any of these players from their situation. And so I leave an open mind to what Purdy could become to all of us during this playoff experience. But it's absolute bias involved when you're getting mad and arguing with somebody over Purdy being in your top 4. Like that's like ridiculous to get mad about it, to argue with it, not say, hey guys, I got a bold take here, Purdy at 4. And then you're like, oh yeah, I could, hey, he finishes like a monster. Maybe you'll be right. Like that's the reaction you're going to get from somebody when you're like coming at it from a realistic perspective. But when you start saying, you guys are crazy, you'd rather have Mahomes as your starting quarterback in the NFL from a football perspective, I could argue with a diehard Niner fan right now that Mahomes is better than Purdy for the future. And they'd be like, I'd take Purdy. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I like him. I like him a lot.
I might be crazy saying that he's not in the top 10, but I just think that guys like Jordan Love and even Kyler are better than him.
Bro, no one's wrong to like Jordan Love over Purdy. No one's wrong to have Purdy over Love. No one's wrong to have Purdy over AR5 and say, I think AR5 is going to get hurt running too much. No one's wrong to have AR5 over every quarterback in the league if they want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just like, there's so many other quarterbacks we could have this conversation about. It's like, it's the thing is, everybody should be entitled to their opinion. Sometimes I have a strong, take. I'm not going to lie, but hey, it's my show. And really this show is about my opinion. Granted, I absorb the audience's opinion a lot. I'm here for you guys. I incorporate a lot of your opinions, but it is funny when someone's like, well, how come you can get mad at somebody when somebody comes in the chat and doesn't allow someone to have an opinion, but yet you'll come on the show and say something like, he's my number 4. There's no question, because this is the show is about my opinion, my projection, so I am going to come off a little differently than I think the chat should be coming off amongst each other. Like if I was in the chat mingling with you guys, you might see me act a little different in a live premiere where I'm kind of typing like you guys. Like someone says, I like Purdy number 4. I'd be like, you go, boy. And then when I'm on here giving you my top 5 QBs, I might say Purdy ain't in my top 5, bro. It's a different vibe. All right, Theo, hang tight. Let me go back to Ron Navy. Ron Navy, you're live.
Hey, Smitty. Yeah, it was great that Amy's been putting in the work all season long and listening to, and she won her league. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is Buffalo didn't dominate Miami tonight, and they both. Look, Allen threw 2 interceptions, lost the fumble. They got a touchdown, a defensive touchdown, special teams touchdown, and Miami guy ran in and gave the hole to him. So I think Miami could very well go into Kansas City, beat Kansas City. Buffalo's not playing great. Kansas City hasn't been playing great. None of these teams have really been playing top-notch except for Baltimore. I think it's anybody's game. I think it's just I'm not going to say.
I'm proud of you, Ron. I'm proud. Ron's turning over a new leaf, at least for the moment. He's open-minded about the finish. And honestly, Ron, like I said, and I'm about to do my playoff breakdown once we clear the phone line and everything. It really is wide open over here. I will say, for all the Niner people watching that felt like it just crapped all over your quarterback, which I didn't. It was me being realistic about his ranking in fantasy football for the future, especially 2024. The only team that seems solidified, cemented in, firing on all cylinders, but in the NFL, doesn't matter. You can trip and fall at any moment. Someone could get hurt. You know, not knock on wood, not wishing injury upon anybody, but we've seen this happen before to the Niners. You know, where something injury happens and boom, bad. And not to mention, I'm going to make a prediction real quickly. If the Niners fall, you can clip this right now at 1 hour and 45 minutes in. If the Niners fall, it's because Jake Moody misses a kick that he's supposed to make, and they put it on this kid, and he has been, when he's under pressure, he's been a mess. And I know he's had a good year in between that awful preseason game. Didn't he miss 3 or 4 field goals he missed in a row? It was 3 or 4. Everybody's like, what do we do? Why do we get rid of Robbie Gould? What were we thinking? And he's been good in between, but I don't know. Him missing that kick last week made me really, this week, made me really worried about his ability to handle pressure. And he's going to think nothing about it, or nothing good about it. He's going to be in his own head if he's put in a position to win a game. I'm just telling you right now, that's their vulnerable part for the Niners. It's going to be crazy. But anyway, this team, the 49ers, feel like the most well put together team. I think Baltimore on the AFC side feels the same way. They are the number 1 seeds. I think they both deserve it. This isn't like they're the highest ranked team, but they don't really feel like it. No, both these teams feel like the most put together teams from top to bottom. Defense, offense, everything's firing on all cylinders. If I had to say the team that I think is capable of winning any game at any moment, right now the Dallas Cowboys feel like that team. I don't know the Detroit Lions feel that way. I feel like they're hot and cold. Maybe they can win any one game. They're hot and cold. I kind of feel like the Rams are more dangerous than the Detroit Lions right now. I kind of feel like the Cowboys are the closest thing to being a team that's well put together enough to win enough games in a row to head to a Super Bowl appearance. The Eagles don't feel that way at all right now, and they're banged up. Tampa Bay shouldn't even be here. But that's how I feel about this side, and I'll do my bracket in a second. Texans, I don't think any of us know what they're capable of, and that's dangerous. They're a dangerous team right now. Maybe they're dangerous for next year, and we all get excited about it, but they're an unknown. They're a team that I don't think anybody's going to overlook them because they're hyped up right now. Everybody's talking about them. They're riding high, but they're dangerous. Cleveland's dangerous too. Joe Flacco, I mean, maybe this ride doesn't end until it ends, and who the hell knows when that is. So there's some danger here for these teams in terms of who faces them. KC, very, very shaky right now. As shaky as the Eagles. Miami, same thing. Philly, KC, Miami, I don't think it's their year. And plus, Miami's banged up like crazy, but if they put it all together, they get healthy, then they're capable of beating any team in any given moment. I just don't know that they can put it all together in consecutive wins. No, Ron, put your earmuffs on. I don't think Pittsburgh has the capability of going multiple rounds. Could they surprise and knock off the Buffalo Bills? Absolutely. Through defense, but you don't have Watt, so that makes that tougher to envision. But I think that if Watt was healthy, if he was able to play, this could easily be one of those games where they go one round and you're like, damn, but then I don't think they advance further. But that's me. Buffalo, if I'm being honest, I definitely don't love what I see a lot of the time, but they just find a way. And I know someone's going to say, oh, it's because they're playing down to their competition. And at the end of the day, they're going to run into a brick wall when they face the Baltimore Ravens or whatever. But that still doesn't concern me until they get there. Do I have the Bills for sure knocking off the Ravens? I'm not going to tell you that yet because I'm going to go through this process in a second. But do I think that there's brick walls in between them and the Baltimore Ravens? I don't think so. So I'll break that down. But man,
here's the thing.
It's going to be interesting.
Kansas City's not beating Baltimore. The Bills are not beating Baltimore. It's either Cleveland or it's Pittsburgh that can beat Baltimore. They play. Hey, listen, we swept Baltimore this year. We all played. We played with a third-string quarterback against them. So you can put all those, but they still played some of their starters. So we swept Baltimore. We went 1-1 with Cleveland. Cleveland also beat Baltimore. And if Baltimore's got to face Cleveland or Pittsburgh, they both know how to beat them. And they can do it. And they have done it. So I think Cleveland and Pittsburgh are Baltimore's toughest competition as far as not going all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't think any other team out there can beat Baltimore except for either Cleveland or Pittsburgh, to tell you the truth, because they're in their own division. They play them all the time. They know.
We shall see.
Smitty, how come you always go easy on Ron Navy?
I don't go easy on him. We argue all the time, Alex. We argue all the time. What are you talking about?
Man, Pittsburgh can't. What?
You what?
Pittsburgh can't beat them.
Well,
what are you talking about? They swept this year. They beat them twice already.
Man, they're not.
Like you saying, Olave's not going to be a great wide receiver, which he is. And you know what? A.T. Perry's coming on too for you guys. What are you talking about, Alex?
Yeah, what about it?
We beat them twice.
They're not beating them. You could bet the house. They're not beating them.
We beat them twice. Hey, we beat them twice. Cleveland's beaten them once.
Cleveland's got
beat them twice.
Baltimore.
Come on.
I do.
Get away from your bias. Look at the facts. Look at the facts. Come on, Alex.
No one believes in the Steelers more than Ron. Ron, there are moments though, Ron, where you're like so down on the Steelers, and I gotta admit, and I don't blame you. You're a diehard. Like, I'm not taking anything away from you. You are a diehard Steelers. Hold on. You're a diehard Steelers fan, and I envy that about you, because I really don't have that passion for a single team. I can't. I live in a different world than you guys. I love the player rankings, the projections, and I live in the fantasy world more than anything. So I can't even feel that way about my Cardinals or anything like that. But I envy you, Ron. But it is funny because we will have one moment in time where you are just you're just so hell bent against the Steelers. They're gonna lose. I hate them. Hate their guts. And then the next minute you're like, how are the Steelers gonna lose? It just cracks me up.
I don't like how he makes bad decisions. That's the problem.
I just love it because I do hear it both ways from you, which I don't blame you, because you're a diehard Steelers fan.
Wait. The Bolt's in here and saying the Steelers, in fact, the Steelers snuck into the playoffs. Well, so did Buffalo, because if Buffalo didn't win the game tonight, because Jacksonville lost, actually the Steelers, if the Steelers were already in there, if Buffalo didn't win tonight, guess who was in the 7th seed? Or guess who wasn't even in it?
Go ahead, Ron. You want a drum roll? You want a drum roll?
Buffalo. If I'm looking at Buffalo and I'm looking at Pittsburgh, I'm like, Buffalo has got a way better chance. That's me though, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Buffalo, if Buffalo would have lost to Miami tonight, they would have been going. It would have been totally different. They would have had to go back to Miami and play Miami. They would have been the 7th seed, and
okay.
The Steelers would have been the 6th seed and went to Kansas City.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on so I can get my bracket and everything. Let me go around the circle here. Let's go to Theo, then Scuba, then Alex, then Ron, in that order, and close the phone line out. I might open it up again, but let me get everybody off the phone line here. So, Theo, give me your final thoughts, your final question, your final comment, whatever you got.
If all the quarterbacks have been taken in my dynasty startup, can I draft Jamar Chase at the 212 and CD at the 2.1?
What other players are available, though? Because I don't know if you saw me, but I like Jamar Chase, but that's where I have him in redraft 1 QB. It's not that I don't think Ja'Marr Chase can be top 5 overall. He certainly can, but I no longer will until I see him be consistent and stay on the field, and Joe Burrow has got to stay on the field and be consistent. I mean, what Ja'Marr Chase did today was not what JJ did today. Both of them don't have their quarterbacks. I'm feeling unwilling to give Ja'Marr Chase the pass that he deserves to get to go back into the top 5 consideration. And if you're talking 2 QB at the 12-13 turn,
any running back.
But that's what I'm saying.
There's been 10 quarterbacks taken already.
I know, bro, but in a 2 QB league, a Superflex league, 12 overall is equivalent to like going 4 or 5 overall or 2 overall. I don't condone that kind of drafting of Ja'Marr Chase right now. He deserves to be at the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 area at the very earliest. That is not to say he can't be the number 1 wide receiver, but that's where you need to protect yourself into his value. So, no, I do not, Smitty, approve going Ja'Marr Chase in a super flex at 12, 13. I don't. He's a second rounder. CD, absolutely.
So you would take Brees as your dynasty RB1?
Get lambed, bro.
Or
Brees Hall, sure.
And the 2-1.
Sure, Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Kyron over Brees? Or?
No, not necessarily, no. I mean, I take Brees over Kyron in Dynasty, but I think they're all right there. Those guys are better than Ja'Marr Chase at 12 in a super flex if all the good QBs are off the board.
All right, thank you.
Hey, appreciate you, bro. Let's go over to Scuba. What's up, Scuba? What's up, Scuba?
Hey, I got a question for you. So, with Jaden Reed, the way that he's come along with Jordan Love, going into next year's draft, what do you rank him? What do you feel comfortable taking this guy?
I don't think we know yet, bro, because we're going to be high on this guy. Dare I say Jaden Reed's almost a lock to be a moon man. Jaden Reed looks so good, bro. I don't know. I think we're all guessing right now, and I think that if he goes like really high, like 3rd or 4th round, it's going to be hard to love him as much. But could I see him in the 4th round? Sure. Do I want him to fall later than that? I absolutely do. I don't know that he will. If someone's going to take him like in the 3rd round, though, I don't know. We'll have to see where it all shakes out. Right now, I hope to God he's not in the 3rd round. I hope he's like way past that, but we have no idea where Jaden Reed's going to go. I hope it's nowhere near the top like 30, 40 overall, but who the hell knows, man? He could go so high.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to ask you because I mean, this guy's been on a tear, and I feel like if he has like a good playoffs too, like he's definitely going to be somebody that might be shooting up draft boards.
Like everybody, bro, they're the people that still have, just like the national championship game for Penix Jr. and Corum and McCarthy and everybody. There's an extra stage to kind of help the value hike, right? So anybody that's in the playoffs right now, all these players that are still playing, like Jaden Reed and everybody that's in, like Purdy, in a position to better their 2024 stock, they have an advantage, you know. And some of it's a disadvantage to us because we might see something coming. Like, I don't want Kyron to get another 100 yards and 4 touchdowns in a single game or something, because then it's just going to climb and solidify. Kind of sucks in a way. Brees Hall had 7,000 yards on the ground today and 55 touchdowns because now Brees Hall's on everyone's mind, and it kind of. Yeah. I'm excited about it, and I feel like we really hit a home run on Brees Hall this year. I mean, it really made up for the Bijan misstep that I think the entire industry took, really. But I'll take the L, because if I go out here and I'm gonna walk the walk and tell you that I'm the highest on Bijan and out of everybody in the entire industry, I got to come out here and man up and say that I must have taken the biggest L on that take. Then I can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
So
but
Brees Hall we smashed.
It's just crazy, like when you look at it before I hang up, is that how Brees Hall, like it looks like he ended up having like a great season, and then on the opposite side, like a wide receiver
get breached.
Definitely took a hit, and they're talking about Devontae Adams going over there, and I don't know what that does for Garrett Wilson if Devontae Adams actually goes there. if it's going to be too many mouths to feed over there with Aaron Rodgers, or if Garrett Wilson can still put up solid numbers. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something we got to address when and if it happens. Keep in mind that that's a big cap hit. That's Adams is going to cost a pretty penny. So it's tough to know, but you also have to think about, like, Adams, he probably still has a lot left in the tank, but I don't know if he has the same amount of talent that he did even at the beginning of this year. It's going to start to depreciate. Ziggy, how old is Davante Adams?
Davante Adams is 31 years old. He was born on December 24th.
So he that's right. He just turned Ziggy off. He just turned 31. So he won't turn 32 until the very end of the season. So he's 31. I don't think I would downgrade Garrett Wilson a ton, but it certainly would make him hard pressed to be like a top 5 wide receiver on the regular, but we'll see. He's phenomenal. I'd be shocked though if they were 100% all in on that plan yet. That might evolve and develop if Aaron Rodgers pushes for it. I mean, maybe, but they'd be much smarter to go get that quarterback like Jaden Daniels, JD5 or Penix Jr. and figure out a way to, that would be smarter for them. Because guess what happens if you don't have a quarterback? You've got nothing. You've got an absolutely worthless season. Like Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, how worthless are they going to be if Aaron Rodgers went down again and they got no quarterback? It's going to be like having the best rims and tires in the game and your vehicle has no engine. What are you going to do? Push it around? All right, hey, Scuba, appreciate you. Great questions, and Garrett Wilson talk in the offseason is going to be off the hook. I can't wait to talk about it with you.
Hey, I'm going to tune into your playoff bracket, man.
You better.
Thanks, man.
All right, later, bro.
Later.
Alex Cruz, final thoughts. Final pokes at Ron Navy. Poke the bear one more time on your way out the door, Alex. Go ahead.
No, I've poked enough. I don't want to get too hard of the time. But 2 things. One, you're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like it. But remember, I'm that guy who sometimes I disagree with you. Like, remember Fields, I disagreed with you with Fields in the offseason. And, Kyren, I'm not sold on Kyren yet. And everybody say, oh, what? Like, he's great, he's amazing. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he should absolutely go first round and that. Like, but I'm not sold on him because he's not a high draft pick, right? So they don't have that looming over him where we have to play this guy. It's a high draft pick.
But hold on. Let me stop you right there real quickly. I want you to get your full take out, but I want to hit this one at a time before I forget your points. That point doesn't make much sense to me. Like, to say they don't have to play him because he's not a high draft pick. Alex, in what world have you been made to feel like they don't want to overfeed this man and play him? You know what I mean? Like, what world does Sean McVay, what has he not proven to you that he's going to feed him? He's going to be the most fed running back. Had he not gone down, he would have probably been the number 1 used and high-scoring fantasy football player in 2023. Like, I don't understand that comment, though, I will say. I appreciate your take, but it's just, like, that makes sense to me.
They want to use him, but they want to use any running back.
Do they want to... They got rid of Akers because of this guy.
Not a third, not like the third guy in the depth chart, like not that level. But it's like any back that can be productive, they're gonna run the.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. What evidence do you have? And Alex, I love you, pal. I'm not trying to go at you. I'm just trying to hit every point at every turn. On what level was that proven correct this year? They fed Kyren and only Kyren when he was healthy, bro. Only Kyren.
They've only had pretty much only Kyren is a really good back. He's really talented.
I know.
But they have another person on that level of him, right? They just don't. Like, he's the most talented back.
So what? But what's going to change then? And let's say they don't bring in another running back at all. Like, and not to mention, I do think he's in the top 5 echelon. But go ahead.
So, like, I would just be careful with a running back that a player moving that far up. Like, when you're in the first round, you have a lot of risk. He wasn't drafted very highly. He doesn't have a big contract. and they could bring somebody in. I think they will bring somebody in, and I don't think that he'll get that workload the whole season. I think they'll bring somebody in, and he'll share some. And I wouldn't draft him.
Okay, I hear you. I totally disagree. But I hear you. The other thing too is that. The other thing too is that. Hold on, real quickly. The other thing too is McVay overfeeds his wide receivers. McVay. Now, if you say that if you came in saying, Smitty, I think McVay's going to overfeed him and only give him carries, and he's going to get hurt. That I would at least be like, at 5'9", he's compact, he's built like a monster though at his size though, I will say. But if that was your argument, I can't really argue with that other than that I disagree. But like to suggest he's not going to get fed, like that's all McVay does. Spoon-fed Puka, spoon-fed Kupp, spoon-fed Kyren. It's not going to change. The only argument would be injury. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I said that. Do you think that, like, that's their guy, and like,
yeah,
they're not look at any other running back at all? Like, it's going to be him and solely him.
Any more than any other number one running back like Breece Hall, any more than Gibbs, more than Gibbs. Yeah, I think he's probably the most utilized player next year for his offense at the running back position out of all running backs aside from like McCaffrey, if McCaffrey was to stay healthy. I think Kyren, McCaffrey, Breece Hall, a few other running backs will be in the mix potentially to be the highest volume percentage of carries for their team, meaning like you never have to worry about until the end of the season, you didn't at least, that McCaffrey's not going to punch in a touchdown for his team. Like at the end of the year, they started to rest him, and it kind of burned to see McCaffrey go to the sideline and then Mitchell would get a touchdown. But all year long, it was like if they were at the 5-yard line, you didn't even like closely look like we do with Bijan. Is he in the game? Or with Gibbs even. Like, is Gibbs in the game? Oh no, it's Monty. Like, Kyren's in there, bro. There's 0% doubt in your mind that when they're on the goal line, Kyren's not in the game and gonna get the carry. Like, that's not gonna change. McVay spoon feeds his guys. All right, what's your other? Do you have any other negatives on him, real quick? And then I gotta.
Is it because of Kyren, or is it because he's the only really good back that they have?
I mean, did he not prove that he's electric? He's elite. If they had another running back there and they cut Akers for this reason, and you could say Akers is trash, but that's fine. But they moved on to Kyren for a reason. But it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care who they bring in. Kyren is proven to be the biggest workhorse running back in the National Football League aside from CMC. Like, there's no other running back I would almost bet my life on is going to get a touchdown like during a game, bro. Like, they're not only because of Kyren's talents, but because McVay's going to freaking feed him. I'd probably put my hands behind my head, relax, put my feet up. If you're like, Smitty, Kyren's got to score or else, bro. I'd just be like, I'm good.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's system than Kyren himself.
Well, you can't separate system from player, bro. That's where Kyren plays. You can't take Arian Foster out of Houston. You can't take Priest Holmes out of Kansas City. You can't take Bijan out of Atlanta. He was in Atlanta. We couldn't take him out. You can't take CMC out of San Francisco. You can't take the player out of the situation. Like, he's going back to this situation next year. McVay already announced he's returning.
All I'm saying is that he may not be the only back next year. I don't think he's a bell cow. There's a good chance he might not be a bell cow next year. They might bring somebody in. But anyways, secondly, a lot of like round 2 wide receivers really disappointed this year. Like, is DK Metcalf going to be the player that we really want, or like, because it wasn't a good year and it's not looking up for DK. He has his weeks, but what do you think about DK going forward?
I mean, he wasn't a second rounder last year. I don't think he enters this year as a second rounder. No, I think he's a third or fourth, probably a fourth rounder, bro. I don't think anybody's going to dance around even the third round with DK. I think JSN coming in is going to scare people away. I think maybe if they upgrade their quarterback situation, he could solidify into the third round. But no one's spending a top 24 overall pick on DK, I don't think. I think maybe if they land a Fields, if they land a let's say they bring in Caleb, they trade up and whatever. Then I think that DK would have an increase, an influx in value. But I think as of this moment right now, as I said about DK before, which didn't go over very well when I said it because the next week he had a huge game, but he's very one-dimensional. He's very one-dimensional wide receiver. That will perform sometimes, and sometimes it won't. And I think at the end of the day, he's a great wide receiver 1 for like a 0 wide receiver strategy through round 4. He's a great wide receiver 2, and he should not be your number 1 wide receiver in a normal draft approach where you're drafting very balanced.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Some don't hate your fear of Kyren. It's just that I think the argument they didn't like is so much. But there are some people in the chat. Birdman even said he's worried about Kyren. I think the good argument, if you were to try and argue against Kyren, bro, is not the volume argument, because he's like McVay feeds him, bro. But like it is at 5'9", are people worried about McVay breaking him? That is a valid concern. I don't think it scares me away from taking Kyren in the top 3 overall. I look at it the same way I look at McCaffrey this year, that there's risk involved in McCaffrey. Turns 28. We saw Eckler turn into a pumpkin. We also saw Derrick Henry still do it at 29. So there's that territory of fall off for a running back that CMC's entering. But I think CMC, it's riskier to doubt him than to bank on him. And I think it's far riskier to doubt Kyren's situation or him than to bank on him. Is there risk involved? Absolutely. Would I recommend somebody draft Kyren in 3 straight leagues at the 3 overall and put all their eggs in one basket? No. I wouldn't even recommend that with Breece Hall because of what happened with Aaron Rodgers. Look how that looked at first. Look how that turned out great at the end of the day, but you don't know what could happen. Breece Hall got a torn ACL his rookie year. Like that those situations are scary when you have all your eggs in one basket. But Kyren, to me, is way more worth the risk than concern. He's top. Like, look where I have him.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man. One.
So like he's a Saturn man.
I have concern Stafford as well. His health next year, and I wouldn't take him in the first. I think he's an excellent player, but it's just too high for me. But I think he's excellent.
I hear you, and I don't hate your take. I just disagree with it. But I like the argument more if it was about McVay breaking him. As for Stafford, I feel the same way about Kyren and Stafford. I too was worried about Stafford staying healthy. But who played more games this year, Stafford or Burrow? Who played more games, Stafford or Cousins? Who played more games, Stafford or AR5? Who played more games, Stafford or just go down the laundry list of quarterbacks? And the honest truth is, Stafford has just as much likelihood, given how much he pushes through injury, of playing another 17-game season than really anybody. I definitely feel like there's concern, but I mean, like I said, the risk of passing on Puka or Kupp at the right value. Okay, let's not get carried away. Kupp's not a top 20 overall player next year, but if he fell, All right, anything else? Alex? And I don't want you to come away with like this is a negative space for you to come into. Like, we love you, Alex. Alex is, just for everybody in the chat, Alex is probably, him and Silver Rapture, if Silver's in here, are my longest running like viewers I've had. Like Alex was here literally when I had 5 to 8 people in the live stream. Alex has been here from day one, so I appreciate Alex more than anybody could possibly know. Alex, I don't want you to take anything negative away from this conversation. I like to debate these things anyway, so it's not a bad thing. But I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here from the beginning, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. And the chat, they think what they think.
They like
I'm
you.
just trying to give a different opinion because people don't like to hear that sort of stuff. They didn't like to hear when I said that Bijan isn't going to be worth a mid-round pick or a top, like a top 5 or I didn't think so, and look what happened. I mean, I didn't think Fields would be all that great this year, and it didn't work out. And like, you know, and there's some other players that, you know, people don't want to be negative about because you want them to succeed. I want Kyren to succeed. I just, you know, that's how I feel.
I appreciate you, bro. And hey, I just, like, even if you end up right, though, like, I don't think it's going to be for the reason you said. I think it would be that McVay broke him. I don't think it has anything to do with that he's a low draft pick. They don't want to use him. I think that argument is what, like, even if you end up right, I'm going to come back at you and say, no, you weren't, because guess what you said, Alex? You said that they didn't want to use him. They're going to break him if they do anything. But like, I'll tell you what, Alex, I will 100% admit I was wrong if they replace him. If they just go out and replace him, I will 100%. Alex, you called this. I'll put it up on the board. I'll write it on my door. I'll write it a permanent marker on my door. Alex was right about Kyren. If they don't want to use him because he was a late draft or because he was not a high draft capital player, like if that ends up being the reason he doesn't, then I will write it on my board and marker for you, and I'll do it on the live stream. I just think the only thing that could happen is they break him. But that's
and then gets hurt, and someone comes in and starts playing well, it might be more of a timeshare than you think. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it depends if he's out for the year or something. Kyren, to me, bro, I'm probably. This is what I think about.
You aren't gonna like it. You aren't gonna like it.
Hey, here's what I think about. You're right. You were right about that. Here's what I think about Kyren, bro.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for.
You what? What, Alex?
I said it is getting late, so.
Okay.
Just wrap it.
Hey, Alex, everything going good with your job hunt? Everything's solidified, or what? You got any news for us?
Oh, in terms of the military?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm leaving March for Army Officer Candidate School.
Officer Candidate School.
We're at.
Maybe you shouldn't disclose this. Maybe you shouldn't disclose where.
No one.
No, because it's military base.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just looking out.
Well, I'm going to training in Fort Jackson, and then I go to Fort Benning or Fort Moore for OCS.
All right.
Congrats, Alex.
Great on you.
Officer.
Awesome.
Alex, when you're an officer, I'm gonna command that anybody that speaks to you refers to you as Officer Alex. You understand?
You make sure they salute him.
Okay. I'm gonna call you Officer Alex anyway. All right, Officer Alex. I'll see you later, pal.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Later, bro. Appreciate you.
You refer, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, Ron. What else can I do for you?
Okay, couple things here. You know, I've always backed my guys, right? And Henry is one of them. But I think this is Henry's last year to take him and do anything with him. You see him come back on the field after the game, and he got on the microphone and addressed everybody in the stadium there, and basically saying goodbye to everybody. So I think that, Spears had a great game. I don't think we mentioned that, but Spears had a great game too. One of the reasons why they won. And but Henry, he was gassed. He was gassed after this game. I mean, he was going out, and Spears came in did a great job, but he's slowing down. I mean, you can see it, and I think this is it for him. So when next year comes up, I'm not drafting him. I mean, you draft him maybe where you draft Ezekiel Elliott.
Everything's about ADP. Everything's about ADP. Yeah, so he'll be a hot topic though, Ron, in terms of like where he's going, because I think an NFL team takes, like I always say, it takes one dance partner to dance, and so it depends on his ADP. So if people are high on him, then yes, you're correct. If he goes like in round 6, 7, we'll see. We'll see.
He's not going to be able to get it done like he has in the past.
No, he's 30 years old.
I think it has dropped the point. This was his last year of doing anything.
Hey,
and he had a pretty good year this year.
Yeah, he did. And to be honest, like, he deserves his flowers. Let's send him to the moon, because no running back, in my opinion, but Christian McCaffrey will even have a shot at replicating doing what he did through the age of 29. Because it's unbelievable. Now I'm not saying Mostert at 31 didn't do it too, right? But that's different because you're talking about when you use the age of 28 drop off. We're talking about only running backs that have been in the elite top 5-ish, top 7, top 8 workhorse role their entirety of their career. Like when we talk about like a Mostert who is spot duty, comes in at 31. McKinnon, spot duty, comes in at 30, 31. That happens. That's not something you can predict, and it's not something you can write somebody off. But, like, for example, what Mostert did this year, it'll be very hard for him with the workload he's now endured to come in at 32 because Mostert will be 32. I'm not drafting Mostert high at all. I would cuff Mostert and Achane together if Mostert was reasonable, but we'll find out where his ADP goes. But, yeah, Henry, it'll be a Henry, Barkley, Jacobs. It's going to be so fun talking about the free agent running backs, the free agent wide receivers, the free agent, the trades, the potential trades. I mean, this offseason is going to be off the hook. Can't wait.
It is. And then the last thing is, and I know you got your thing, but I just wanted to say this is my opinion on how things are going to work out. I think that Dallas beats Green Bay. I think the Rams upset Detroit in Detroit. I think that who else is in the NFC that's playing?
Let's not go through the whole thing because I want to do my bracket right now. So let's.
Well, no, your bracket is different.
I know, but I want it to all come out like right now versus like yours and mine being the same or something. Like hang tight. I'll have you come in and you could tell me what your bracket is. But
I've already Steelers over Buffalo. You're taking Buffalo over Steelers.
Okay.
We know that already.
I'll have you come back in. Okay. Okay. You can come back in and give me your bracket, but this is like Vanna White turning all the letters around and then putting them back and then be like, all right, let's solve the puzzle. Hold on.
We're gonna differ, dude.
Hold on.
For big time, I think.
All right.
That's okay. I'll shut up.
Yeah. No, you don't have to shut up, but I just like we'll come back to it. Ron, all right, I might open the phone lines again, and then you come back in and give me your picks, okay?
Downtown, send me a lap.
What?
Downtown sending me on a lap, so I guess I got to take some laps. Okay.
All right, we'll call back in a second. All right. All right, let me go through my picks. First of all, Perps with a $20 hauler. Ron on cloud 9 would be. Ron would be on cloud 9 if Cousins went to Pittsburgh, is what Perps is saying. Perps, I know Ron well enough to know that he doesn't want this. Actually, he wants Pickett. He doesn't want Pickett's the perfect fit for. Here. Let me tell you right now. No, This is my Ron voice. No, I love Pickett. Pickett's the perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Cousins is the perfect fit in Minnesota. I don't want it. I think we've already even talked about this with Ron before, but 100% would have guessed this myself, Perps, but he does not want Cousins in Pittsburgh at all. I'm sure he'd welcome it at the end of the day, but he wants them both to stay put. Appreciate you, Perps. Perps says, Alex, nothing to worry about. We love you, bro. Nothing wrong with a different take. Keep your head up. Trust your gut. Hey, can everybody give Alex Cruz a couple moonshots and send him off to officer school in proper fashion? I want Alex Cruz and a bunch of positive hearts, prayers, rockets, whatever, eggplants, whatever you want to throw out there in the chat for Alex Cruz, sending him off on his way. Alex, go crush officer school and come back. And hopefully you're wrong about Kyron, though. Appreciate that. Drop that for the man. Perps with another. Well, Smitty, you put him on a pedestal as a third man on the all-new Saturn list. Just saying, trust in him, Smitty. Oh, you're talking about JD5? Yeah. Just make sure, everything's about ADP, though, Perps. So just make sure you don't draft him at 2.12 in a redraft. But, bro, you'll want him. You'll probably be able to secure JD5 and redraft as your QB2. Just like you could have secured AR5 as your QB2. Keep in mind, Perps, AR5, Anthony Richardson, was as hyped as a rookie QB really has been in a long time. And he still was borderline your starter. You almost drafted him, if people remember, in the 7-8 round territory and then took your starter after in hopes that AR5, you're investing more in him than your starter, but you're drafting the starter after him, and you're going to start that guy until AR5 was ready to pop. I think it could be the same thing. Appreciate you, Perps. Perps dropping a slew of picks, or a slew of super chats there. $20, $10.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Perps to the moon. Appreciate you, Perps. Matty Ghost. Arthur Fluff fired because he would rather target a third string tight end in a red zone instead of his stars. He's done this just about every game. We need a coach that understands how to use our stars. Exactly, Matt. Congrats on the Arthur Smith firing. We knew it was coming. I launched the title of the show, Arthur Smith fired, because we knew that was on the way. Amy putting in the work all year, stuck in her parents' basement behind the facade of a guy. I think that's a running joke that she says about herself, so I don't think that's... Amy, clarify on that one. I think I've seen that before, Amy saying she's in the basement of her parents' garage or something. That's funny. Perps to the moon. $10 haulers get moonshots. Perps dropping fire all night long. Perps to the moon. Perps to Saturn. I apologize. Perps to Saturn. Perps also gifted 50 exclusive memberships. So if you're riding and rocking with the new green name and gifted membership where you can drop the emojis, please thank Perps, because Perps is the one that got you that. Perps to the moon. Perps dropping fire all night long. Let's get to the picks, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to the picks. I'm going to say, let's start with the Pittsburgh game. Really what it is how it works is Baltimore's going to play the worst remaining team based on seed. The Niners are going to play the worst remaining team based on seed. So depending on who wins, we're going to move those teams around. So let me just start out by saying that I believe this is a tough game. The Browns and Texans. I'm going to say Houston wins this game. So I'm going to put Houston out right here. I'm going to say KC wins this game against the Dolphins. I just don't think the Dolphins... I'm going to put this team out here. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills win this game. The worst remaining seed out of these three winners is going to be the Houston Texans, so they will face off against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm going to put that one right there. Houston versus Baltimore. And that means that KC will face off against Buffalo. So we'll put them right there. And let me see if I can move these guys above, because you can't even see them. Buffalo to the top here, and KC above. Let me just move this layer because we can't see them. That is how I have it at this moment in time. Baltimore is the highest seed, obviously the one pick, so they will face off against the worst remaining team. There you go. Anybody object to that strongly? Aside from Ron Navy? Cleveland baby says football. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know about no way, bro. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a very tough game. I just feel like the momentum's there for Houston. I know Joe Flacco has been playing out of his mind, but this is how I see it. Let's go over to this side of things. I think Philly's banged up, but I don't see them losing to the Tampa Bay Bucks, so I'm going to put them out here. I think the Rams and Lions. I'm going to go Rams. I think the Rams are going to win this game, and I think the Dallas Cowboys beat the Green Bay Packers. The Packers aren't ready yet to advance, I think, but they're looking good. The worst remaining team left at this point is going to play the Niners, so we're going to put the Rams over here to face off against the Niners, and we're going to put the Philadelphia Eagles over here with the Dallas Cowboys. Let me move these layers around. 2 seed at the bottom, Philly there. How's everybody liking that so far? Smitty not giving Ron Navy Steelers a chance. This is how I see it as of this moment in time. This is tough. I'm going to say Buffalo goes to advance. Put the Buffalo Bills right here. I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens win this game against the Houston Texans, but it'll be a fun game to watch. I just think they're not matched up. They're matched up in a way that, let me make this smaller here so I have more room. I feel like I'm running out of room here. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Buffalo Bills are going to advance here, in my opinion. We'll put them right here. Baltimore Ravens are going to advance, in my opinion. Put them right here. The Rams versus the Niners. Look, hey, I'm actually wavering on this one a little bit. I think this is one of those situations where the Rams just match up well against the Niners. I know everybody's going to say that's crazy, Smitty. God, part of me's like, part of me's wanting to get crazy up in this mug. Part of me's wanting to get massively crazy and piss off a lot of people up in here. Let's see what you guys are saying so far. Philly don't look right. Agreed. And I think we might as well just make this call now. I mean, Dallas is going to beat a banged up, injured Philly team right now. Could they get healthy? Sure, but I feel like it's out of rhythm right now. Dallas is probably going to win this game. Philly's just not feeling right. I don't know. Part of me wonders by this time will they be. I think they win this Tampa Bay game. They'll have enough time to heal potentially, and maybe they get things all together at that point in time. I don't know. Dallas is playing tough, though. I'll be honest, I'm struggling on this one just because I truly believe this Rams team is super underrated, and I think Niner fans will even admit this. They won't want to, but I think they will at the end of the day admit that the Rams match up very well against the Niners. And I'm going to go San Francisco, though. I'm going to use my brain. Okay, so we're sitting there at this juncture, and we got the Baltimore Ravens. Let me go over here against the Buffalo Bills. I'm trying to go with trying to use my head and not my heart here. I'm going to say the Niners advance to the Super Bowl. And face off against it's so boring to make it the Ravens versus the Niners, though. Whoa, 1 seed versus a 1 seed, Smitty. So creative. Rams scare us more than the Cowboys, says Jolts. He's a Niner fan. This is where I think I'm going to leave a lot of people in a different... I'm going to put myself in a different dimension. And people are going to think it's wrong. Because the Ravens are an easy pick, right? I'm going to go Buffalo versus San Francisco. And I'm going to go so tough. I almost want to do a crazy bracket and a smart, logical bracket. I almost want to say I want to do like my crazy, cool, hip gym and my, sophisticated, logical gym. It's from Old School, or no, Old School, American Pie. I almost want to do a Rams versus, like Buffalo bracket. Let's go. I mean, God, if the Niners stay healthy, it's like they're not gonna. They're the team to beat. The Niners are the team to beat. I'll probably say San Francisco. I hate to do it. But I think Buffalo versus San Francisco is going to be a wild one anyway. If the Niners suffer injury at all, then you could say this for any team. I think that's where I would probably like if Purdy could get injured, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and go. I wanted to say Buffalo really bad. I'm tempted to change it, but I'm going to once I lock it in, I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to go San Francisco. This is my logical bracket. If I was to get crazy, I would say the Rams advance a little further and do something nuts. And on this side of the fence, the Buffalo Bills are still the team that I would have going nuts and advancing. So I did pick favorites, I think, across the board. No, I didn't. The Rams were not a favorite, so the Rams over the Lions. I picked favorite. No, the Bucs are a favorite over here as the 4 seed. So I didn't pick all favorites. That's how I'm doing it. That's how I'm doing it.
You've just been
That's locked in. That's locked in, ladies and gentlemen. There's my bracket. Here's my bracket. Final bracket. Not going to change it. It is what it is. Like it, hate it. That's how I feel. Buffalo, I think, makes it to the Super Bowl, and they lose again. which is absolutely going to be brutal. Could Baltimore be the only team here that, like, logically I should have put maybe in front of Buffalo? Sure. But, I have some upsets here. This is not crazy. This is a 2 seed facing the 1 seed. This has the Rams, a 6 seed, beating a 3 seed. This has the, let's see here. What else do I have? I had the Eagles, a 5 seed, beating a 4 seed. I think this is a pretty decent bracket. It's not all safe. That's my take anyway. Yeah, I don't know. 49ers talent is special for sure, says Mark. I just feel like, if they stay healthy, this is their year. I don't know that they're going to have a repeat the next season, though. I just think when you look at CMC, you look at Debo, you look at how this defense is playing when it's on all cylinders, I just feel like this is probably the most logical year for this to happen. All right. Dial into the phone line if you guys want to discuss that. Ron, I'm sure Ron's going to call in and complain about my Buffalo Bill take. Let's just keep in mind, Ron, that the Bills have definitely, I think, surprised you at this point. Dallas is a wild card. I just don't know that they can put enough wins together in a row. Like, Dak can definitely fold from time to time, and I don't know that I like Dak advancing all the way through. The Niners just feel safest. The Buffalo Bills, will they crap the bed at the end of the day in the Super Bowl and do what they've always done? Get this close? Probably. This feels fitting for them to go and then lose, right? All right, Ron, now give me your picks. You can give me your picks now.
Okay. And I'm going to go against what you just did with your hopeful wishing bias with Buffalo. And I'm going to give you a logical of what's actually going to happen. So, I agree with you on the Philly-Tampa Bay, that Philly goes. I agree with the Rams beating Detroit and Dallas beating Green Bay. I agree with all that. I think San Francisco will end up going to the Super Bowl on their side. Now, on the other side, I think Pittsburgh beats Buffalo. I think Cleveland beats Houston. And then it's very hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. So I think Pittsburgh will lose to Baltimore.
Okay.
And Kansas City will lose to Cleveland. and it'll be a Cleveland-Baltimore AFC Championship game where Baltimore will win it, and it'll be a San Francisco repeat of the last time San Francisco was in the Super Bowl, and Baltimore will beat them again. I think Baltimore wins.
I don't hate that bracket. I mean, look, I wavered on making Baltimore, a Super Bowl champion. The only thing
that's my
yeah. The only thing I disagree with is the Pittsburgh part. I don't think we're that far off. I mean, I think that's. I know you're hell bent against the Buffalo Bills, but kind of feel like you're double down Donning on it a little bit, just because, you didn't even think they'd make the playoffs.
I know how the Steelers play, and they play very well in Buffalo. They play very good in that weather, where Miami doesn't. I just don't feel that. And I think, I think Miami will beat Kansas City, but that's the other part of it.
Who did you have going to the title game against the Niners?
Baltimore.
No, against the Niners in the title game. Dallas, or did you have the Rams?
Oh, Dallas. Yep, I agreed.
Okay, yeah, because the Rams would be okay. So you didn't have Green Bay, so the Rams have to face the Niners, and then so you had Dallas winning. Right. So Dallas, San Francisco, Baltimore, Cleveland, Baltimore, San Fran, and Baltimore over San Fran. Okay, I got you. We're not that far apart. I mean, now, I sat here and wavered on this one.
My heart would take the Steelers over Buffalo, and then the Steelers over Baltimore, and then happen to play Cleveland in the championship game. I think Cleveland goes to the championship game, the AFC championship game.
Yeah, I don't know.
My heart wants the Steelers Cleveland, but realistically, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. So
my heart wants Buffalo to win. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm a big Buffalo fan. I like Buffalo a lot. I love Josh Allen a lot. I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I'm more of a Josh Allen fan than I am, any specific. I'm more of a player fan than I am any specific team anyway. But, half my family's from Buffalo, if that tells you anything. But so I'm a big believer in this team. When push comes to shove, and like they did tonight, they figure out a way to win. But I don't know that they're going to be able to match up against the Niners very well. I think the Rams, like I think we both alluded to, give the Niners the biggest potential scare. I think the Rams could scare any team. And the Rams they can run it down your throat. They can throw the football. They've got 2 amazing wide receivers, and I don't think Cooper Kupp's ready to relinquish that I think value yet. But next year will be a whole different story. But staying healthy for 17 games is more the concern than Kupp having the talent at the beginning of the year, or playing like an elite player for another 6-7 straight games, then getting hurt. That's next year. Next year he could get injured. But you've got Cooper Kupp, you got Puka Nacua, you got arguably the second best running back in the National Football League behind Christian McCaffrey, and a team that just measures up very nicely against the Niners. And we saw it this year when Kyren ran down their throat. And, look, that's the one weakness for the Niners. And on that note, I've got 49er Media, who hasn't called into this show for over a year, I think, on the line right now. 49er Media, you got to be pretty happy with my bracket right here. I got your Niners winning.
Yeah, I mean, what's up, everybody?
What's up, bro?
I'm not going to try to get ahead of myself. That's just what I want to kind of feel like. I don't want to get disappointed. So to me, it's 1 week at a time. If we win the Super Bowl, I mean, that's great. I definitely say we're big favorites. But again, I am taking 1 week on a.
Well, that's not. You don't have a choice when you're calling into a bracket show. 49er Media. We're not doing. This isn't a wild card round show. Like, we're talking about the bracket, right? You called in the middle of doing a full bracket. I want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah,
can we back it up to the
bracket?
Can we back it up to the wild card round and leave it at that? No, media. You called in the middle of me announcing.
Well,
who
I mean, I'm taking it one at a time in terms of
Okay.
like, the Niners. But anyways.
Are you scared of the Rams more? I'm not saying you're scared of anybody, but are you worried about the Rams more than the Cowboys? Be honest.
Yes.
There's a smart man right there.
Yes, I am, because it's a divisional game, divisional matchup. They know both each other very, very well. Kind of a little bit salty, from a few years ago in that NFC Championship game, not going to lie. But, this probably might be a hot take, but man, I don't know if I'm sold on them, man. They just have fallen apart the last 5 or 6 weeks, and they're just not looking good. They getting banged up.
Yeah,
obviously they don't have a bye week to get, prepared for that. So I'm almost tempted to say that I could see Tampa Bay upsetting the Eagles.
They could, like, if any team's beaten up enough to get taken advantage of, like out of the the normal state of things, like the Eagles are not healthy. So if like Hurts' fingers taped on and AJ Brown's not going to play or something, then I think they're vulnerable for sure. But I think if AJ Brown plays, we'll have to see. We'll know more tomorrow. It looked like he tore his ACL, but apparently from Sirianni, it's not thought to be serious. Well, it looked freaking serious, and I don't know, holding your knee where he was holding it, where his ACL was, like that's where you hold your knee when you tear your ACL. That pain in the back of your knee, like unless he tore his meniscus right there, which he'd be out. Like I don't understand how this is going to be a non-issue. I really don't know what happened to his knee to make him fall like that. I'm really curious what we're going to find out tomorrow. But if
Isn't
AJ
also
Brown,
Devontae Smith, I believe, hurt too, right?
yeah, well, he's been hurt. He's on crutches in a walking boot. Like whenever he gets off the field, it's like, here's your boot, here's your crutches. Let's get you healed up as best we can, then take them off and send you to the.
I think the Niners kind of tore the Eagles a little bit.
You guys give yourself way too much credit for that. That's ridiculous. And not you break everybody. That's what you guys say. Your whole fan base is like, look, you guys have. I just gave you the, what else more what do you want? I put you as the favorites to win the whole thing. But like, it's funny how you guys claim to break everybody. Look, you guys got broken at one point. Did the Rams break you?
No, we definitely did.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. You didn't figure out the Eagles and give everybody the blueprint. They've been getting banged up and they've been off kilter all year long. You didn't figure out anybody. You guys are a fantastic team. You got everybody firing on all cylinders, and that's all there is to say about that. But you guys didn't invent breaking teams and players, and I love how much credit you take for breaking Philly or exposing this guy or that. It's hilarious. But I love you, media. I'm glad you called in. I don't know why you haven't called in lately.
It's just school. Been focusing mostly on that.
Yeah, you got how many? You got a year left, 2 years left. What are you looking at?
A year left.
All right. What are you majoring in?
MIS.
Okay. All right, media. Anything else, bro?
The one thing I know, Baltimore's 1 seed. Man, until they prove me wrong, I'm not gonna trust them because, obviously I know every year it's different, but man, I feel like choking the playoffs. They just don't look right in the playoffs. That kind of concerns me a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. So.
All right, media, go get some sleep. I think you fell asleep while you were talking to me. All right, later, bro. later, pal. Dude, I think he's sleeping as he's talking. I think he's sleepwalking right now. I could barely make out what he's saying. All right. So anyway, here's the bracket, my bracket. For anybody filling this out, I'll have this on thefantasyfootballshow.com, a blank bracket. You'll be able to download it in about an hour or two. Once the show ends, I'll put it up. But if you're doing this for your office pool or whatever, make sure, and I'll have instructions on it. Just make sure once you pick these 3 teams, and you'll want to start with, the 7 seed here. the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then you want to start with the Green Bay. And if you have the 7 seed winning, you'll advance them on over to the number 1 seed. Because think about it logically. The Baltimore Ravens and the Niners, they earned their bye week, right? They're the number 1 seed, so they're going to be gifted the worst remaining seed of the 3 teams that win. So that's how you start your bracket picking. As you saw me, I put all 3 other ones that I predicted to win, and then you're going to take the worst remaining seed, what's considered to be the worst team. And that's why you kind of start with the 7 seed, because if you think the 7 seed's going to win, they're going to immediately go over and play the 1 seed. And then the other 2 teams will face off against each other. If you got Buffalo winning a 2 seed, Miami winning a 6 seed, and doesn't matter who wins here, the 6 seed, because they would be the worst remaining team, would go play the Baltimore Ravens. I've got that correct, right, Ron? I've explained. Did it come out right? Did I explain?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Number 1 seed plays whatever seed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes the same with the other ones too.
I meant to say to sound right. Did it sound like I explained it right? Okay.
Yeah, the number 2 seed will play the next worst team.
Yeah.
So
start off with the 1 seed. Make sure the 1 seed's playing the worst remaining seed. Anyway, that's my bracket. I'll open phone lines for a little bit more, and then I'm probably going to get out of here. Arthur Smith's been fired. Congratulations to everybody. It's been a phenomenal night just on that alone, but we had so many other things to talk about. I can't wait to talk about where Barkley's going. Can't wait to talk about, even though, like Ron and I just both agreed Henry's days are kind of numbered, but like, where is he going to play? And will he be worth his ADP? Will he go, fall far? Where's Eckler going to play? He's obviously toast too. At some point, you're going to have to let go of Eckler, but where will he play? And will he have a low ADP? Where's Barkley going to, be suiting up? Where's Fields going to get traded to? Because I think he will get traded. Where are these rookies getting drafted to? It's going to be such a fun and exciting offseason. Where's Ridley going to be playing football? Where's he catching footballs? Because he's a free agent. Where's Higgins going to be if Higgins is not franchise tagged? And maybe he's franchise tagged. We'll have a whole lot to go over in the offseason. It's going to be phenomenal. Hopefully, we got a lot of trade action.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Supposedly, they're saying Ron Rivera is going to be fired from the Commanders. What about Rivera in Atlanta? Do you think that would, because he likes running the ball with his running backs. Do you think he'd be good for Bijan?
It's not bad, but I mean, it's better than, like, if you gave me that or some unknown, maybe I'd take it. But I'd almost rather it be somebody else. But
would you rather have Rivera there or Belichick?
I don't know that I believe in Belichick anymore right now. I don't want to go near Belichick. I want Belichick nowhere near fantasy football goodness. Until we figure out what in the hell is going on there. Like, we haven't seen him succeed without Brady. I don't trust him. I don't trust him. Look what he did with this quarterback situation in New England. I want him nowhere near the quarterback decision-making process, bro. No. Mac Jones, I told everyone Mac Jones was going to bust. I did not see a talent in that guy, and Bill Belichick did. So I want Bill Belichick nowhere. Nowhere.
But the big reason why I don't like Detroit moving, having a chance at the Super Bowl, is because I'm not a big Dan Campbell fan. I think he doesn't put his players. He's kind of like Shanahan, right? They really had nothing to gain tonight. They had a very outside chance of moving up to the number 2. He both need both Philly and Dallas to lose, which, okay, Philly lost, but Dallas didn't. And he got Laporta injured. He got Reynolds injured. He didn't need to be putting his players at risk like that. I mean, granted, he likes to take chances, but sometimes as a head coach, you have to make the decision to keep your team healthy, and he didn't do that. So he's not. A lot of people are impressed with him. I'm not, because I think he made dumb decisions last week, and I think he made dumb decisions this week.
All right, hang 1 second, Ron. 409 caller. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Michael Schroeder. I'm calling from Houston, Texas.
Michael from Texas. What can I do for you, pal?
I was just going to talk about the brackets for the finals.
Okay.
The Super Bowl.
Hit me with it.
And the way I see it is, I see Houston advancing.
Hey, you sound like you're calling from a fax machine. Are you? Maybe you're muffling the phone a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah. I see Houston advancing, KC advancing, and Buffalo advancing on the AFC side. And then I see Baltimore beating Houston, KC beating Buffalo, and then KC advancing to the Super Bowl. I just think that they're an undervalued team, way undervalued team. NFC side, I see Tampa Bay taking that rush, just killing Hurts. And then advancing, I see Detroit advancing and Dallas advancing. And then Dallas versus San Francisco, and I think Dallas gets the best of them this time. And you have a battle of old Dallas teams, KC versus Dallas.
I mean,
KC for the win.
Definitely doable. I mean, there's again, like I said earlier, like there's no right or wrong to this. I mean, these are all fantastic teams, except for, in my opinion, and the Bucs could prove me wrong, but I think they're the only team. And I kind of feel like the Steelers with Watt would be, I think, a tougher team that could definitely knock off the Bills, even though I have the Bills going all the way to the Super Bowl. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers with Watt could potentially upset the Bills. It's definitely in the cards. But like I think the Bucs and Pittsburgh are the only teams I'm feeling really confident about not advancing. But man, this is football. This is the NFL. We've seen crazier things happen. Like Ron's predicting the Browns to go all the way, I think, to the Super Bowl. You said, Ron, and that's certainly doable. Like, I mean, look, you can keep doubting Flacco. I don't think he advances that far, but like, who the hell knows, man? The way he's been playing, the way everybody's been playing.
Well, Flacco's only played one defense that's above top 21.
That's right, Ron. Sorry. What'd you say, Michael?
Flacco's only played one pass defense that's ranked above 21st, and that was the Jets when they had nothing to play for on 4 days rest, and they had the out of the playoffs. So he has not played a real pass defense yet.
I mean,
Flacco's waiting to bust.
I feel like that's what my I don't know if he's waiting to bust necessarily, but my gut says that the Cinderella story is going to end up ending very quickly, or at least if they win this first game, which are very capable of beating Houston. I mean, it's Houston and Cleveland's going to be a close game. I think they lose the next game, but I would say that like that formula doesn't always work because it's not their fault. Like it's not his fault he hasn't faced X number of defenses. Like his schedule is his schedule. You know, that's what I always get mad at when people say Tua's only done well against these defenses. It's like, well, the Miami Dolphins have a pretty damn good record, and it's not Tua's fault who he played. So like I hear what you're saying, and I kind of agree. But what?
You have the past 3 years. You have with Flacco the past 3 years where he didn't look that great with the Jets and other teams.
Yeah,
so
but
he's not as good as Tua.
Yeah, but he didn't have the support he has right now in Mari Cooper and defense and Jerome Ford playing ball. But I do agree that they probably, in my opinion, won't get past the next round. They could win this first round, this wild card round, and I think they end up losing the next game. But like, let's say they go across the pond and play against Buffalo or KC. And let's just say Miami or Pittsburgh, wins this game, one of these games, and then the other one doesn't. And they go down or they go up and face Baltimore, and Cleveland gets to go down here based on the seeding. Mm-hmm. Do I think that the Browns could vault up to the title game against the Ravens? Sure. I think that's the avenue they have to go, though. I don't think they can go through Cleveland personally. Through Baltimore personally. But if they end up popping down here because the Dolphins or the Pittsburgh Steelers, the worst remaining seed, if they were to win, go up here, then Cleveland has a path to get to the big dance, half of the big dance. But that's just my take. Definitely. I mean, it could go 100 different ways, bro. I appreciate you.
I would love to.
Forget.
Hold on, guys. Well, let me go to Ron real quick. Ron.
Don't forget, I can't stand Cleveland. I mean, we're enemies, but don't forget, Cleveland was the first team to start San Francisco's slide when they went into that slide. They beat San Francisco. They've already beat Houston in Houston. They beat They beat Baltimore this year.
Their defense is legit.
I don't know where you're getting that they haven't faced any of these good teams. They beat all these good teams.
He's talking about pass rush specifically, a stat. But again, like I told him, I think it's hard to use that formula and recipe when the Browns played who they played, and like Flacco didn't have a choice of, and he's done good. He's done unbelievable, completely on out. You know, this second half of the season. So it's like, what can you judge him for on that? You know, but I do agree that they get knocked out after a round if they do win the first round. But anything could happen, man. Again, the only teams that I think don't, in my opinion, have a shot to make the Super Bowl would be the Steelers, partly because of Watt, Ron. I mean, and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Anybody else, it would not be crazy to me if any one of these teams showed up in a Super Bowl or at least a title game. You know, so I just think it's a really well-rounded group. I just think when the Bucks can't score like 10 points, like they look very, very limited. They just feel like that kind of team, and Pittsburgh's just got a lot of things to be concerned about. But I mean, Rudolph, he's played really well. I'm not saying he hasn't. I just, you know,
what do we got to be concerned about? I mean, Nazee's been running the heck out of the ball.
Yeah, he has
been running the heck out of the ball. Watt is one guy. It's next man up. I mean, that's just on the defense, but the
that's
offense,
a big piece, Ron.
2 straight weeks of over 30 points. I mean, come on.
That's a big piece.
I mean, it's a big piece, but so are other teams have big pieces. I mean, we're winning with our third string quarterback. Well, actually, Rudolph is really the second string because Trubisky just totally stinks. So thank God he's not in. I was saying if Trubisky was playing, we'd lose immediately. But
yeah, well, we'll see. Like, do I think the way that
even Johnson's stepping up and playing good. He's catching the ball. He's been balling out. So, and we've been running the ball. We've been balanced on running and throwing. So,
like Dumb and Dumber, I'm going to get Ron to make a bet by the end of the day on the Pittsburgh Buffalo.
It's not a given. It's not a given. No, I told you I'm not going to bet you on the Steelers because every time I bet with you on the Steelers,
I'll bet you by the end of the show I get you betting by the end of the day. Deal?
No, not on this. Not on this week.
I'll bet you I get you to bet.
Not on the Steelers.
I'll bet you that I do get you to bet.
No.
Ron's not falling for it.
Maybe on something other than the Steelers.
All right.
You could get me to bet on something.
Anything else, Michael?
Well, the Steelers and Rams, I think the main thing against them, too, is for them to go all the way through to the Super Bowl, both the Rams and the Steelers have to play like what, 5 road games in a row, 6 road games in a row, and travel cross country. That's ridiculous to ask one team to do that much. So I don't think the Rams or the Steelers can make it for that reason. It's just hard to do that much traveling.
Steelers play in their backyard. If they go to Buffalo.
Well, they went to the
close.
Seahawks.
They go to
Buffalo. They went to the Ravens.
Close. Yeah, it's close. It's close to Pittsburgh.
What I'm saying is, 2 weeks ago they went to the Seahawks. Then they went to the Ravens. Then they had to go to the who did they play next?
You're back in a submarine again, or on the fax line, Michael. I don't know if you're cradling the phone with your shoulder or what, but we can barely hear you, bro.
Oh, yeah.
They travel 5 hours.
Is that better now?
A little bit.
Yeah, Pittsburgh travels 5 hours north of Buffalo. I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania. Buffalo's 2 hours from me, and Pittsburgh is 3 hours, so it's about a 5 hour drive to Buffalo from Pittsburgh.
All right, hey, appreciate you, Michael. We'll see you later, pal. Good take. Call in more often, bro. I'll see you later, pal. Later.
You have a good night. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Ron, anything else? And I see your comment, D-Town, but like the Rams over the Lions, like, come on, that's not even close to take a lap material. Like, either one of those teams could win that game. Those are 2 fantastic teams.
Well, if you think about it, the sub-story to that is Stafford playing against Goff. They traded teams again. And the last time Stafford got the best of them, and he'll probably get the best of them again this time.
It's going to be a tough game. And the Lions, as much as I do love the Lions are really, really capable of showing up one day and then not showing up the next day, and then they have been that team, especially Goff. But Goff at home's always much better than Goff on the road, so that's obviously a good thing.
You know what? If Philly ended up having to play Green Bay, I would say Green Bay would have had a chance to beat Philly, but the bracket didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
But if Philly played Green Bay, I think Green Bay can beat Philly.
Yeah, I do love when people think that that this stuff is it's so funny when I see a comment. It's like, oh hell no, are you crazy? Cleveland's gonna win over you. It's like, I mean, bro, Houston and Cleveland's gonna be a close game. The Rams Detroit Lions are gonna be a close game. These are all close games. Like, this is hitting this bracket is next to impossible. Like it's just the nature of the NFL.
When the Browns went to Houston, they won 36-22. It was a close game. I mean, it was a high-scoring game. It was a close game, though. So, yeah, any of these games could go any direction, actually. I mean, you just never know.
Yeah, especially in the beginning of the game or something like kickoff return.
Kansas City hasn't been playing their best ball. They've been playing pretty bad football. Buffalo has had a stint of playing pretty bad football. Pittsburgh's had a stint of playing bad football. The only one that hasn't really played bad is Baltimore. Baltimore hasn't had a stint of playing bad football. Even San Francisco had a stint of playing bad football. So Baltimore's about the only one that hasn't had a big stint of playing bad football.
Yeah. All right, Ron Navy, appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna
Later.
push out.
Later.
Later.
Show, Smitty.
Later, man. Thanks.
Bye.
I'm gonna shove out here in a second. Double A. My man.
What's up?
What's up, man? Long time no talk.
Want to wish everyone a happy 2024 playoff season.
Mm-hmm. Happy Arthur Smith fired day here on.
And on that note, I'm not sure. I'm late to the party. You got caught up doing surveillance things. I was reading an article about Nick Sirianni's job possibly being in jeopardy if things don't go smoothly here during this playoffs. So I was curious your thoughts.
I think they give him another year, but you never know, man. It feels like he's losing the locker room.
After making
he's
losing the locker room.
I think if that's true, that he's lost the locker room, keep in mind this would be the second coach in a row that's lost the locker room and got fired. Remember Doug Peterson?
Doug Peterson
was fired, and everyone said, no way he's going to be fired. He's like a year removed from winning a Super Bowl. Why would he be fired? Because he lost the locker room. And so, you never know. I hear that. I hear rumblings that he's lost the locker room, but we'll see. He's also an arrogant dude that doesn't, I feel like, have as much credit deserving than he makes it out to be. Like, he's an arrogant, like when he's like, yeah, you can't stop our brotherly shove. Like, he's just so arrogant about it. This is a coach that didn't know what he had in Jalen Hurts when we were beating the table saying this is him, this is the guy, he's him. He's like, this guy's looking potentially to shop him. He was looking to potentially draft a rookie quarterback. He was on the hunt for a QB and wouldn't fully commit to him. So I don't think Sirianni's as good as everybody thinks he is. I don't, but we'll see, man. I don't think all of it's his fault this year, but clearly losing their offensive coordinator this year has been a bigger hit than losing Sirianni would have been, honestly. I mean, Steichen.
I was just Googling his name just to make sure I said it right.
Steichen. And
right below his name is like, could the Eagles hire Belichick because they need a reset as Nick Sirianni flounders? Like, holy cow, this is 1 year removed from nearly winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when people, because I said Doug Peterson would be fired, I did a live stream and I said Doug Peterson will be fired, and everyone came in screaming and yelling at me. I even had an Eagles buddy who runs an Instagram page call me out and say, like, they're not firing a guy this closely removed to a Super Bowl, Smitty. And I'm like, you watch, he's gonna get fired. This guy was at odds with ownership. Like there was no confusion about it for me, and they canned him. And so, while logic would say that they were going to give him more time, because usually you would say, okay, look, Hurts got injured, changed offensive coordinators. Hurts has been playing hurt in a lot of ways this year. Just kind of like off kilter. This team's been off kilter. You got to give him another year. Not if he's at odds with ownership. I'm not saying he is, but if he is, and it sounds like he's at odds with the locker room, we'll see. We'll see. I think it fully depends on how things go moving forward. But Hurts isn't quite happy with them. Steichen, there's that video footage of Hurts rolling his eyes after Sirianni made Hurts do those, fumble drills a couple weeks back, and there's footage of that going around when as soon as he got up from a fumble drill. And granted, to be honest with you, he's fumbling the ball. Like, I don't think it's anything wrong with the coach saying, I'm the coach, you're the player, and I think you need to work on fumbling the football or holding on to the football. But you see Hurts get up and roll his eyes and walk away, and I just think there is some I don't know, unsettled feelings there. We'll see, bro.
Probably get the impression too that once you lose that locker room, you're never getting it back, especially considering you have a lot of younger players who will all side with each other. You can see that just crumbling apart.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say one thing. I hope Ron Navy's still on, but as I told you before, I live up in Omaha. I got some messages tonight from the Chiefs fans getting a little worried about facing the black and yellow as long as TJ is okay. So I'm holding on hope. So
yeah, I assume he's missing some time.
They got to play really. Rudolph has just got to play solidly. No one can make this stupid mistakes. That jump shot pass he tried the other day.
Hey,
what little hair I have, I almost lost it.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to face anybody, it's a team that's been up and down like the Buffalo Bills, though. It's a good matchup for the Steelers for sure. Because the Bills are capable of falling into the Super Bowl, and I have them losing, but they're also capable of losing, game one against the Steelers. I mean, very, very capable. Any of these teams could win. I don't think the Steelers or the Bucs, like I said earlier, are the only teams I don't think can advance far. But any one of these teams could win the first game, no doubt.
Definitely something off with Buffalo too.
Yeah, a little bit. I think they can get it back. KC, maybe. Philly, it all depends on Hurts' finger, which looked mangled, and AJ Brown's knee, which looked mangled. So I don't know. I still think
everybody's banged up.
Yeah, I still think KC and Buffalo have a better shot, I think, of getting things in order than Philly, but that could change in a day or a news cycle. So tough to know.
All right, man. You get out. Have a good night.
All right, later, bro. Appreciate you. All right, phone lines are closed, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody that dialed in. Thank you, everybody that super chatted. Thank you, everybody that messaged. Hit the thumb up button on the way out the door. Don't forget Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Get those best ball mitten drafts going. Please hit the link in the live chat. I'll drop the link right now in the live chat to Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Again, they'll double your first deposit up to $100. I'm going to pin that link right now in the live chat. Code Smitty's in the link that I dropped. And the link is also in the description of every single video, pretty much, that I have up. So that link's been pinned. And if for any reason you just download the app without using the link, when it says, how did you hear about us, put Smitty in for the code, and they'll double your first deposit up to $100 on your first deposit. Also, do this now, though, because we'll be drafting tomorrow night. We'll be drafting all week for the playoff drafts. I can't wait to draft with you guys now that we know who's in. It's going to be unreal. I might do a couple drafts later tonight, so you might see me in there drafting, like just sitting there. I'll be sitting on the couch, relaxing, chilling, watching a little Netflix, watching some news, watching some Sports Center, watching whatever. And I'll be drafting alongside of you potentially. You might see me in there. So why don't you click that link right now that I've pinned. Get signed up and ready so that you can draft tomorrow night with me. Because if you wait till tomorrow night to click the link and sign up, you're not going to get in time. I'll see you all later. Appreciate every single one of you. Breece Hall to the moon. Kyren Williams to the moon. And so far. Well, actually, to Saturn. I'm sorry. Breece Hall to Saturn.
to Saturn.
Kyron Williams to Saturn. And JD5, Jaden Daniels, rookie quarterback incoming. Those are our current 3 Saturn men. Do it live.
The Saturn men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
Spaceman. Spaceman.
Brees Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a hell of a job. A hell of a job. A hell of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a hell.
He's Kyron. He's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron. He can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
Yep, lower it, boys. Set her down. There we go. There we go. Perfect.
Devon Achan, please report to your shuttle to Saturn. Your shuttle is leaving. Prepare for departure. Touchdown probability high.
Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. But you can bet your bottom dollar I'll probably be live. Most likely bet your bottom dollar that I will be live at some point or have some sort of video upload tomorrow, as well as a couple Dynasty videos, because I have taken 2 days off on doing a Dynasty live stream just because of this, closing out of the season. But I'll more than make up for that tomorrow with 2 Dynasty videos of sorts. Doing it live. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Perps, for dropping the gifted memberships. Thank you to everybody that dropped $20 haulers in below or above. Matty Ghost with a $10, Perps with the $9, Perps with the 20, Perps with the 20, Perps with the 20, Perps with the 10, Sick Nasty with the 2. Thank you for Super for the 10, Megas 11 with the 5. I'm laughing because of the message that person left, but I want to thank him anyway, even though they left a weird message. Perps, appreciate you. Ron Navy with the $20 hauler. John and Perps is dropping wads all over. Perps is a unicorn. Ron's a unicorn. Ray G's a unicorn. We got 3 unicorns still watching. I know it.
He is a unicorn.
See you all later.
Got him.
Thanks, Mod Squad. Thank you, Blackbeard. Thank you, Sick Nasty. Thank you, Travis, if you're in here. Vampy, Terry Roberts, Blackbeard. Thank you to my mods. Deuces.